20-year-old Stephanie Young is suing her former live-in boyfriend, 20-year-old Raymond Lachance, for rent, the cost of a big screen TV, and damage to their apartment.
All rise. Yes, case number 33 on the calendar in the matter of Young versus Lachance.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. Be seated.
I usually don't like to prejudge things, Mr. Lachance, but I think that you're not a very honorable person. According to the complaint that I read, sir, you and the plaintiff were involved in a relationship. You thought it was going to be a solid one. You signed a lease on an apartment, correct?
Correct.
And after 3 weeks, the thing didn't work out.
Correct.
And you agreed that she would leave, and you would stay in the apartment.
I was staying in the apartment, yes.
And when you were staying in the apartment, according to the plaintiff, you were staying with someone whose name was?
Jacob Canuck.
You were staying with someone whose name was Jacob. And when she left, according to her, Jacob was paying her half of the rent so that you weren't out any additional money. Then, according to the plaintiff, you told her you were moving out of the apartment. So far correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And she didn't want to ruin her credit, so she picked up the rent and paid the rent, right?
Yes, ma'am.
When she goes to the apartment to get something, she sees all your stuff there because you had moved back in. But you let her pay the rest of the rent, believing that he was out of the apartment.
Yes, ma'am.
Your excuse is that you were forced to pay the rent yourself for 7 months because of her, and therefore you decided that she should pay the rest of the rent.
Her name's on that lease. She's just as liable as I am.
Mr. Lachance, in what month did you sign the lease?
We signed that in May of 2006.
And she left in May of 2006.
She left June 2nd, 2006.
6/2. Did she pay May's rent?
Actually, I paid it.
You mean you paid it alone?
I paid it alone, yes.
Why is that?
I had recently come into some money at about the end of April playing online poker. It's what we used to move out here. It covered all our moving trucks.
So you paid the May rent?
Correct.
Okay. Now, when did Jacob move in?
Jacob was with us from the beginning.
And how much was the rent in the apartment?
$569 a month.
And how much was Jacob paying?
He was not paying for any of the rent.
And how long did you let him stay?
He stayed until November.
So you're telling me you did not try to find another roommate between June and November because you were letting Jacob stay there rent-free?
Correct.
Now I'm going to respond to your statement.
Okay.
The reason you had to pay the rent is because your behind was sleeping in the apartment. Hers was not. And you had a roommate who should have been paying half the rent.
From July till November, he was never home. It was predominantly a storage space for his stuff. I helped him out every now and then. He was
Then it's your
never,
responsibility, sir, to find another roommate.
I was unable to find another roommate.
Show me what efforts you made to find another roommate.
I had friends at work.
Now let's go a little further, Mr. Lachance.
I don't have anybody in town.
I'm speaking to you. When did you call Miss Young and tell her that you were moving out of the apartment?
I was finally able to get a hold of her. It would have been end of November.
And you told her you were moving out in December?
Yes, ma'am.
And had you paid November's rent?
At that point,
it's not an answer, sir. Did you pay November's rent?
November was paid, yes.
Fine. And you moved out in December?
Yes, ma'am.
And you paid December's rent?
Yes, ma'am. It was actually a lot more.
Shh.
Okay.
So you called her and let her know that you were moving out in December, and if she wanted to keep her credit, she better start paying the rent?
Yes, ma'am.
When did you move back to the apartment, Mr. Lachance?
I moved back in January of 2007.
So you were out of the apartment for 1 month?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you call and tell her you moved back?
I was unable to get a hold of her.
Did you call and
I
tell her you moved back into the apartment?
I called, yes.
So that I assume you paid January's rent.
I did not pay January's rent.
I assume you paid February's rent.
I did not pay February.
That's why I told you when we started this case that I thought your behavior was abominable because it was dishonest, totally dishonest. Moving out is one thing. Saying, listen, I'm moving out of the apartment. Your name's on the lease, my name's on the lease. I lived here for the last few months, so I paid the rent. But now I'm moving out, just like you moved out. So I think if we want to both keep our credits intact, maybe you don't need it, because if you make a living doing online poker, maybe you don't need your credit intact. She does. So maybe we should just join forces, pay this lease out, whatever. But that's not what you did. You were able to contact her when you wanted to move out. But when you moved back and knew that she was going to be paying the rent and you were going to be living there rent-free, then you couldn't contact her. That's not very nice, sir. Now, when did you find out he was still living there?
I had the locks changed March 26th, and
was
he
locked up.
called
So
me.
you paid December, January, February, and March.
Yes, ma'am. I also paid April.
And April. When did you go and check the apartment?
Well, I moved back to Florida, and the apartment's in Texas, so I couldn't just go there. So I was talking through the apartment complex, and I said, I want to have the locks changed because I believe someone's still living there.
What made you think someone was still living there?
Because once he stopped paying the electric bill, it went back into the apartment's name, so they were getting the bill, and she was sending it to me. So if there's electric, someone's living there. So I said, I would like to have the locks changed. I paid the $25, and I got a call from Raymond that night
I'm
saying,
an authorized tenant in that place. There was no reason to have me
Mr.
locked out.
Lachance, don't you understand? You did something that was amoral, dishonest, dishonest. Don't you get it?
To me, dishonest was leaving 3 weeks into the lease.
No, Mr.
She committed
Lachance,
herself
that's
for a year.
ridiculous, sir. You weren't getting along. I don't even care why you weren't getting along. You were dishonest. You said, I'm moving out, and then you moved back without telling her. And the only time you contacted her again, and you were able to contact her again, you said, I couldn't call and tell her I was moving back because I couldn't contact her. So you were able to call her when you were moving out, and you were able to call her after she changed the locks. But you couldn't call her that critical time to tell her you were moving back into the apartment. She didn't have to pay the rent anymore.
I had left voicemails. I had sent
Listen to
messages.
me. Dishonest. What kind of work do you do?
I am a waiter at a restaurant.
What else do you do?
I play online poker.
Dishonest. So you owe her for rent for 5 months. You also owe for the electricity while you were there. How much?
it was $2,100.
Now, it's my understanding from your complaint that you have a witness who is able to testify that for the first few months after you left, the rent was paid.
Yes, ma'am.
Call the witness.
I would like Jacob Knudsen to come out.
You swear to tell the truth in these matters?
Yes, sir.
State your name for the record, please.
Jacob Knudsen.
Okay. Do you live in the apartment with Mr. Lachance from June until December?
I left early November, but yes, June is correct.
When you were there in June, July, August, September, and October, those 5 months, did you contribute to the rent?
Most of the time. The only month that I was not able to contribute to my full share of the rent was the beginning of October, due to the fact that I lost my job.
I don't care why you didn't contribute in the month of October. You didn't contribute in the month of October.
Yes.
You paid rent in June?
Yes,
How much?
$285, my half,
And you gave that to him in check or cash?
cash.
That was June. What about July?
Yes,
You paid him in July.
yes,
August,
yes.
the full amount, to either
$285, yes.
What about September?
September, yes.
But not October.
No.
And what happened in November?
November, I was still out of work, and I contacted my mother and borrowed $400 from her in order to pay my half at the beginning of November. I have a Western Union voucher right here.
Can I see it, please?
Yes. The Western Union voucher that states that I got $400 from my mother in order to pay my half of the bills.
So if Mr. Lachance said that you were there and you stayed there sporadically
I was not home very much, yes.
and that you did not pay any rent to him at all, would that be the truth or a lie, sir?
A lie.
And you were his friend?
Yes.
Who do you know longer?
I know them both about the same amount of time.
But you stayed with him
Yes.
when she left.
Yes. In order to help him with the bills.
Perfect. Good. Anything else you want to say to me? Anybody? Perfect. You owe her $2,100, Mr. Lachance, because you're a dishonest person. Because you're a dishonest person, I'm dismissing your counterclaim for half of the expenses for the time that it is clear that you had help with the rent, because that's what your counterclaim is mainly about. You will always come into contact with people, Mr. Lachance, in this life that are smarter than you are. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You must step out.
I was very depressed. I didn't like the way he was leaving me every night.
She was away from her family. She didn't have a job. I did my best to comfort her.
Instead of comforting me like he said he did, he never did. He just left and went out drinking and with other girls.
I had made some other friends. I was trying to introduce her to a new life. She wouldn't have it.
We went to the bar one night and he invited the girl that he had been seeing and said he would pay for her drinks.
All I wanted to do was show up here and tell the truth. I didn't want to take sides in this situation because they're both my friends.
I paid for my 7 months. It's her turn.
The fact of the matter is one's lying and one's not. And I guess today we found out who won.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Riskin versus Robinson, step forward.
26-year-old Noah Riskin is suing his ex-girlfriend, 22-year-old Lindsay Robinson, for her share of a backpacking trip through Europe. Lindsay claims the trip was a gift.
Mr. Riskin, Miss Robinson used to be your girlfriend.
Correct.
And it is your claim that you took a backpacking trip to Europe
Yes.
and you advanced some money for Miss Robinson, who was supposed to pay you back.
Correct.
Miss Robinson says the trip was a treat, your treat, and there was never any discussion about paying you back for the trip. And she is counterclaiming, she alleges you have some property of hers, a baby book, and she wants some punitive damages because she says you are stalking her. How long were you a couple?
For 7 months.
From when to when?
From mid-June, I believe it was, up until Valentine's Day.
And when was the trip?
We left on January 20th, returned February 19th.
So you were really a couple from June until January, because when I understand from reading your papers that when you took this trip, you each went your own way for a good part of the trip. You traveled independently. It wasn't a romantic getaway for the two of you, right?
Correct.
You didn't live together, did you?
We did.
You were living together.
Yes.
You had enough of each other from June to January. You wanted to be a little separated?
My intention of going to England and Scotland was to backpack, to go as many places as I could. Lindsay told me that she wanted to get a feel for life out there and stay in York for a week or two.
Wonderful. Terrific. How come you advanced the money?
Lindsay came up to me after the tickets were purchased, said that she had talked to some friends of her back home, and they told her that she needed roughly $1,000 American dollars per week, conversion rate being about 51 cents per pound. I'm sorry, $1 per 51 pence.
Oh, please, let's move on.
She did not have that money. I offered a loan.
I asked you what was said. Don't say I said to her, I will give you a loan. I want to hear what was said by her and what was said by you. Do you understand? And if it doesn't sound right, it's usually not true, Mr. Riskin. You get it?
I did.
Good.
So I went ahead and loaned her the $2,500.
Okay, Miss Robinson, since he can't get it together, I want you to tell me how it came about that you, A, took money from him for the tickets, and B, took money from him for spending. I think it was $2,500.
Yes.
Tell me how it came about.
He told me he was going. I told him I couldn't go with him. He asked me to go. I said
I want you to keep your voice up and speak slowly so that I can hear you.
Okay. He said he was going to Europe on a backpacking trip. I said, I can't go with you. I was going to use the month to move out anyway. He said, go with me, go with me.
You were going to use the what? I don't hear you. Okay, Miss Robinson, I want you to tell me how it came about that you took money from him for the tickets and took money from him for spending.
The month that he was going, I said I'm going to move out and see where it goes from there. So
look at me.
I told him to let me know when he bought the tickets and I would make a decision because he kept asking and asking. So when I called him, he said he bought 2 tickets. I'd said no and he bought the ticket anyway. As far as money goes, I told him, well, I still don't have the money to go, and he offered to give me money for that too. We went to the bank together, he deposited it into my account.
What's wrong with you?
I listened to him, I guess.
No, you didn't listen to him, I guess. If you were not happy with him and if you were moving out, why did you take all that money from him?
Because
why?
Because I thought he was doing a nice thing. He told me it was going to be a gift, and I believed him. And he told me he didn't want the money back.
That's not my question to you. I'm talking about being a moral person. Let's say I believe you, which I'm not sure I do. Let's say I believe you. Why would you, since you knew that he was anxious for you to go, since you knew that he was anxious for you, perhaps not to break up this relationship that you had had for 7 months, why would you, knowing what you knew, take money from him? Because as soon as you came back, you broke up, right? Right?
Before we got back, we broke up.
Well, before, but you already got yourself there on his ticket, and you already had $2,500 of his money.
Yeah.
Well, that's wrong.
I know. I know. I thought it was something that it wasn't, and I should have listened to my gut. I thought we had an understanding, and we didn't.
What kind of understanding?
We discussed it before, and we had the understanding that it wasn't going to be romantic, that we were both going to go our separate ways, and that it was a gift. Because I told him I couldn't go over and over, and he insisted that he wanted to do something nice for me. He called my dad and told him about it. He told my best friends about it. Knowing that we would break up, he told them that. And so I thought we had an understanding.
Yeah, I want to tell you something. If it doesn't make sense, it's usually not true. What nice thing had you done for him?
I don't know. I was with him. I mean...
Well, he was with you. You mean
exactly.
that's a gift that you were with him?
We just had...
What kind of spectacular thing do you have that other people don't have?
Nothing.
Huh?
Nothing.
Nothing. I didn't think so. I mean, what do you bring to the table that millions of other people don't bring? Why in the world would you think that he would invest a whole bunch of money in taking you away if he didn't think that by doing that, perhaps you could rekindle your relationship?
That's what he did think. I know it is.
Then you did the wrong thing by taking it, knowing that it wasn't going to work.
I didn't... Okay.
How much was the ticket?
The ticket was $531.
And how much cash did you give her?
$2,500.
Okay. Forget the incidentals. You're lucky we're going where we're going. Do you understand? I'm going to hear your counterclaim. And I must tell you, Miss Robinson, I have other things to do today. You want your baby book back?
I want my... Yes.
Why did you take her baby book?
The baby book was actually left. When she had moved out, she left everything that she did not want. A number of magazines, old shoes, etc. that she did not want. She just left them for me to clean up. I found them, and I did notify her that I had these items. She has not made any effort to pick them up for me, to send anyone to pick them up. I still have them.
What are they?
A baby book and a childhood photo album that I saved from the trash pile.
Why did you leave them?
That's not true. First of all, I got home and all my stuff was on the porch the same night we got back. He locked me out so that I couldn't get in and took my key. Everything that was on the porch, I took. Everything that wasn't mine, like the magazines, I left there, yeah, because he threw it all on the porch. So
on what date?
That would be the 19th, the night of the 19th, the night we got back.
What else?
He basically, after the breakup, I don't know what happened, but he became very different. He would show up at my work at least twice a week. And
yes? And what?
And just hover around. He would pull friends out of work and tell them about everything that happened between us. And
I'll get over it. You owe him $3,031. Your counterclaim's dismissed. That's all.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Yeah, this is case number 124 on the calendar, the matter of Bigda versus Hellinger. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ladies, have a seat. You're welcome.
Mr. Bigda, how old are you, sir?
I'm 28 years old, Your Honor.
Is this your wife?
Yes, ma'am.
How long have you been married?
We've been married for roughly 3 years, almost 4.
You have children
Yes,
with her?
ma'am. I have 2 by my wife, Your Honor.
Your complaint says, sir, that the defendant is the boyfriend of the mother of another of your children. Is that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Were you married to your wife at the time that this child was conceived?
Yes, I was, Your Honor.
How old is the child that you have with, what's your name?
Selena.
Selena.
She just turned 2, Your Honor.
And this is your complaint, Mr. Bigda. Your complaint is that the defendant assaulted you.
Yes, sir.
And in addition, you claim that you made a small loan to him to cover some insurance payment that he needed. Mr. Hellinger says that you precipitated this argument, and in addition, he is counterclaiming. He alleges that you called Child Protective Services on him on more than one occasion, and in addition, he says that he's been supporting your child, correct?
Yes.
How much child support do you pay, Mr. Bigda?
I paid $36 weekly, court ordered.
Do you pay it every week?
Yes, I do, ma'am. It's taken directly out of my paycheck, Your Honor.
And how much is your paycheck, sir?
My paycheck, it ranges anywhere from $300 to $600, depending on how many hours I work.
Then why do you only pay $36 a week in child support? Put your hand down.
Because that's what the court had ordered, because I have 2 other children and a wife. My wife does not work, so I have...
Why doesn't your wife work?
Because she stays home and takes care of our 2-year-old.
You have another 2-year-old? You are very busy, sir.
Yes, Your Honor.
Why don't you work and earn $600 a week all the time, Mr. Bigda?
Because the paper mill doesn't always have overtime. Some weeks you might work 12-hour days. Some days you just work 8 hours. It varies if we have people that call in or...
Yes.
I worked at the same paper mill, and overtime's always welcome. I left that job because of him. Right now I'm currently climbing trees. So,
for a living?
Yes, I cut trees down. I work for a tree service.
Oh, you cut trees down. You said I climb trees. I said I didn't know that you could make a living doing that.
So when he says that the overtime ain't there, it is always there at that mill. I work there. I also put in tons of hours.
Mr. Bigda, it's outrageous that you only pay $36 a week in child support, sir. I'm telling you that right now. Even if you pay it, she wants to tell me that you don't even pay it. But if you paid it, that's an outrageous figure for you to pay for child support. It's not your child's fault, sir, that you didn't know how to keep your whatever in your pants. That's outrageous. What?
Sorry, I only received $26 out of that 36. 10 of it goes to the Department of Social Services towards arrears.
Yes.
And the rear support is actually medical bills for Mrs. Catterette for having the baby. It's not rear.
No. It's not medical bills for her, sir. It's the birthing expenses for your child. Because when you make a baby, it has to be born.
Yes, that's what
right? Put your hand down. I don't know why you still tolerate him. Me, I'd be visiting him, you know, and bringing flowers. Now, I'm ready to hear, sir, your tale of woe.
On the beginning of January 2007, I had recommended Justin, because he had not had a job for a while, to the paper mill that I worked at, and they had hired him. And on January 18th, I had loaned the defendant $50 to get his car insured so he could get to and from work. 2 days later, I had also loaned him another $20 so he would have gas money. And at that current time, I was out on disability due to my hand. I had to have carpal tunnel surgery on my right and my left hand. And during that time, things were going good. I had come back to work roughly the end of February. And at the end of February...
So you weren't paid for the entire month of February?
I was paying. I had support reduced, and it was I'm all caught up as we speak.
What'd you have it reduced to? How could they reduce it any lower?
Because it was reduced because I was only bringing home $230 a week due to disability. I have proof of what I had loaned him.
Get on to the... So far, I hear $70, sir.
All right.
$70 from your $26 a week that you pay in child support, not $36. 10 goes for arrears. You acknowledge that. So you pay $26 a week, which is less than $100 a month. You want me to translate that by day, sir? Let me translate that. $26 a week divided by 7 equals $3.71 a day. That's what you pay. Let's move on.
Also, when I had returned back to work on February 26th, Justin Hellinger had assaulted me several times.
Well, I want you to tell me what happened. What's the basis of your claim, sir? Let's hear it.
Pretty much what happened is I try to see my daughter whenever I can, and he does not want me to see my daughter, and he tries to control when I can and when I can't. And he had told me if I call to have any contact, he'd kill me and bury me. On the night of January 13th, Mr. Hellinger had come down to my part of the plant where he should not have been and started having verbal words with me. He told me that he was going to beat me up, and I didn't want to have any time of problems, so I went to turn around, and when I turned around, he had closed his fist and hit me on the left side of my head, 2 centimeters from my temple, and I was taken to the hospital by the employers. I have hospital statements showing...
I'd like to see those, please. Okay. Now, Mr. Hellinger, I'd like you to tell me your version of what happened on the 13th, please.
The bathroom is downstairs in the mill, so I was going down to the bathroom. There's 2 flights of stairs. I went down one flight, he went down the other. We intercepted each other in the middle. It's about a 10, 15-foot hallway. I confronted him about what he was doing to me, why he was calling my house at midnight.
Just a second. When you say you confronted him, what did you say to him?
I said, Cashmere, why do you keep calling my house at midnight harassing me and my family?
When did he call your house at midnight? Put your hand down!
It was probably the beginning of January when all this...
How many times did he call your house at midnight?
Oh, several.
Who did he speak to?
Her or me when I was there.
What did he say to you when he called at midnight?
Asked how I was doing and if Justin was being good, if I was doing all right and everything was all right between us. Pretty much wanted to know about my relationship with Justin.
Did you ever tell him not to call your house at midnight?
Justin has several times.
Why did you call their house at midnight?
I personally didn't. My wife did. My wife and Selena were good friends, and Selena had asked my wife to call so they could just talk about our child and other things. They were friends, and Mr. Hellinger does not like her being friends with my wife. So she would ask my wife to call late at night when Justin went to work.
I'm asking you, sir.
I have personally never called his house after 10 o'clock. My wife had always done the calling for me because he would not allow me to call.
For you?
He would not allow me to call.
When your wife called, did you ever get on the phone?
There's been a few times that...
When your wife, just the answer is either yes or no. When your wife placed the call, did you ever get on the phone?
Yes.
That's what he's complaining about. Do you get it?
Yes, Your Honor.
Good. Okay, so you confronted him about the calls that were coming to your house being made by his wife, but then the phone being turned over to the plaintiff.
Yes.
And what happened next?
He got a little irate, got loud with me.
No. Tell me what he said.
He can do anything he wants. It's his kid. And if he wants to be with Selena, he can be with her anytime he wants because he can just take her out to the bar and do what he wants to her. And
Put your hand down.
it made me grumpy.
Made you grumpy?
Yes, very grumpy.
Well, probably mildly.
He slandered me. He slandered me through the whole mill, told the mill all my business, told the mill, a lot of the people I worked with, that I was beating her and the kid. I confronted him about that too. He started to come at me, and at that time I just pushed through with him. And I don't know if I hit him in the head or not, but I did.
Well, you did hit him in the head, sir.
I had an open hand. I never closed my hand when I hit him because he's handicapped. I would not hit a handicapped person.
Okay, now I'll hear you.
Yes, Your Honor. I had made a report to the police. He was arrested. I have the arrest,
I'd like
and
to
there
see it.
was.
Now you can stand up.
And I have told people about Justin at the mill, and the reason why I did that is because I fear for my daughter's welfare. That's why I keep persisting. He's a registered 2 sex offender, and it is on the website for everybody to see. I fear for my little girl's life, and so
Yes.
I've been with this little girl for 2 years. My officer said it's fine. I have 2 children of my own. I also get every other weekend. Being around his daughter is no problem to me. I'm not dangerous to anybody. What I done in my past was my business. The fact, yes, it is. I am registered, but it don't affect my life at all. I have a good job. I work around several 100,000 people a day. I go to people's homes.
Did your prior conviction involve children?
No, it did not. It involved an underage girl, which I did not know her name, or her age, I should say.
How old are you now?
I am 24.
Put your hand down!
I am 24.
24. And when was this conviction?
2 years ago?
2 years ago, when you were 22.
Yes.
And how old was the girl?
16.
Got it. Fine. Not fined legally, but that's a totally different scenario than pedophilia. That's just dumb.
Understood.
And you have too many children, sir, at age 24. If you
I
have
understand.
3 children.
Yes.
You too. I don't care how many trees you climb, and I don't care how much pulp you make. Now, you want to say something to me?
The phone calls that were made to Selena were me returning calls and her returning my calls. He did not take the phone every time, only once in a great while.
Listen, he took the phone more than once. Madam, I don't even have to be there to know that he took the phone
yes,
more
he
than
did.
once. Right. Anything else you want to say?
Just that the support issue, we give them money on the side to above what the court orders. We also buy Davina's clothes, Davina's diapers, her wipes, her shoes, and when we do send them home...
Show me receipts.
Right here, where I
Show
spent
me.
at Walmart off of my bank card.
Show me.
There's a few. There's Walmart there, where we spent $502 to buy clothes, diapers, wipes, food.
What about for
And
whose
all through
children?
that. For his daughter.
Not for your children?
No, not at that point, no. I buy her
Baloney.
things separately.
Baloney. I don't believe a word of what you just said to me. Sit down. You think that I believe that you went and spent $500 on his daughter and none of that?
No, some of it was on his daughter. Not all.
Now that's better.
I'm sorry,
Some
it was
of
my
it was
mistake.
you made a mistake.
Yes, I did. I'm sorry.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Kashmir Bigda claims his ex-lover's fiancé, Justin Hellinger, punched him in the head while he was working.
What?
Also, I fear for my child because last summer, roughly June or July, the defendant was also arrested because his girlfriend Selena had left him, and he rolled his car trying to kill himself on purpose. And he had a suicide message left on my machine. I didn't bring that with me today.
Yes.
The fact that I tried to kill myself has nothing to do with
Yes,
his
it does.
child. I was not with him.
Yes,
I got
listen
help.
to me. Listen to me. That's a legitimate concern.
I understand it is.
Okay? That's a legitimate concern. If you have suicidal thoughts, that's one thing. If you act out those suicidal thoughts and you are around the child, that's a legitimate concern that a parent might have. You get it?
Yep.
Now, I assume that that formed the basis of at least one of the calls to Child Protective Services.
No, it did not.
Did it?
Yes, it did.
How many times did you call Child Protective Services?
3 times.
Tell me about the 3 times.
The one time was when he rolled his car, and Selena, the mother of my child, was worried, so we got together and had called. The second time was when he called my house going irate, and he threatened to kill me and bury me and told me I could not see my child, so I was very concerned about the welfare of my daughter. And the third time was due to him stalking and calling me names and stuff. He had even stooped low. He had convinced his girlfriend to go to the police and report that I had raped her. That's how our daughter was conceived. And the police had come to my house, and she was filed for making a false report and is under community service for trying to have me arrested.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes, it is, Your Honor.
Okay. That's not good. That's not good.
I was highly intoxicated the night that me and Kashmir, conceived my daughter.
So?
I don't remember any of it, and it was not a coerced thing. I went to the police department on my own.
How much after your daughter was born?
6 months, maybe.
So you had 9 months and 6 months. You had 15 months to think about it?
I was not.
Okay. Mr. Hellinger, he was clearly assaulted, and you clearly lost your temper. So you have to be responsible for his medical bills.
Your Honor.
What?
I have a unfounded paper from Social Services January 30th that he called on me where I was unfounded.
Yeah, that's okay. He has legitimate concerns about you. Are you getting any help for yourself?
Yes, I am.
Good. You seeing somebody regularly?
Yes, I do.
Put your hand down. Listen, if you think that I find you a sympathetic character, I do not. You were disloyal to your wife. You created a situation that she's going to have to live with and suffer with her whole life if she decides to stay with you. She has 2 children with you. I guarantee you the day that you told her that you had another child the same age as your youngest child was not the happiest day of her life. So if you think that I believe that you're a sympathetic character, I believe that you are an unsympathetic character, sir. As far as the money that you claim you gave him, that's hardly makes up for the amount of money he contributes to support your child. So he's going to pay your medical bills, which are roughly $500. Unfortunately, Mr. Hellinger, you want to be compensated for supporting his child. That's your prerogative. If you choose to do that, you do that gratuitously.
That ain't a big problem to me, the harassment.
Fine. And as far as calling Child Protective Services, some of your behavior, sir, is questionable. And I suggest to you, I would continue with the help that you're getting because you probably need it. What?
I also have proof that I lost wages.
I don't care if you lost wages.
When he
Make up for it for the $26 a week that you send to support your child, or $3.71 a day. I'm telling you, sir, you are an unsympathetic person to me. I think that you would like to have control over this situation that you created. Were you drunk the night that she got pregnant?
No, I was not.
Was she?
Yes.
You know how unsympathetic you are? The scale of sympathy from me just went to a -10. So she was drunk, you weren't. You clearly then took advantage of somebody. At a fair statement?
Yes, Your Honor.
So he's going to cover your medical bills, period. It's your $500. What a situation you created, sir. You created this whole situation. I know, because she was drunk. How old are you?
23.
And you?
28.
Goodbye, sir. You get your medical bills. Try to live with each other in peace.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Your Honor, this is case number 64 on the calendar in the matter of Hines versus Kilpatrick. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated.
Ms. Hines, the defendant is your former boyfriend. You
Yes.
lived together. He's also the father of your child.
Yes.
You had a lease together. He moved out 4 months prior to the lease terminating.
Yes.
You took him to court for 2 months of the 4 months.
Yes.
Since the other 2 months hadn't passed yet. And you got a judgment against him for those 2 months.
Yes.
Now you want the last 2 months of the rent that he owes you. And you also claim that you had a lot of pain and suffering because he wasn't a nice guy.
Yes.
Well, forget pain and suffering. You don't get paid for pain and suffering. You terminate a relationship for pain and suffering. Do you understand?
Yes.
Good. So you want your rent.
Yes.
Mr. Kilpatrick has a very good excuse for not paying the rent for the last 2 months.
Yes, I do, ma'am.
He says that the reason he didn't pay rent for the last 2 months is because you filed a restraining order against him and his mother, and so he couldn't live in the apartment, and if he couldn't live in the apartment, then he wasn't going to pay rent.
Not
That's
true.
his defense.
Yes.
So, when did you move into the apartment?
We moved in March 14, 2006.
And you were both on the lease?
Yes, we were.
And when did you leave, sir?
I'm not exactly sure.
When did he
I
leave?
am November 9th, and they filed for the restraining order. He was
November 9th,
Yes.
2006.
Yes.
And when did you file a restraining order
I
against him?
filed November 2nd, but he was served November 14th at 5:55 a.m.
But you had filed it on November 2nd.
Yes.
I want to see the allegations that you put in the restraining order application. Thank you. You filed this on November the 2nd, and according to this, it says the most recent date of abuse was September 10th, 2006. And you say he strangled me to the point that I could not scream anymore. He also stated that he would only get a slap on the wrists.
If he did it again.
It would be something he would hit me because it was his first offense. And you filed this 2 months later. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Between September 10th and November the 2nd, when you went to the police to file for this restraining order, where were you living?
I was staying there, but he wasn't.
You were in the apartment?
Yes.
And he was not living there?
He was still living there, but he never came home. He was in and out. He would go to his mom's house. We were sleeping in separate bedrooms. I was sleeping in my daughter's room, and he was sleeping in our bedroom.
Fine. So then my question to you is,
Okay.
2 months later, what prompted you to go to the police?
I don't have transportation. Not only was I trying to get to the courthouse to file a restraining order on him, everything in between then, I was going to the police station. I was always talking to the police about what I can do about our child and him getting out of the apartment, but not necessarily him moving out because I still needed him to pay his half of the rent.
Just a second. You asked for, in your restraining order, a stay-away order asking that he may not be within 15 feet from you. How was he supposed to be within 15 feet from you if he was still living in the apartment?
Because at the time, whenever he would come home, he would go in his room, and I'll either be sleeping in the living room on the floor or in our bedroom.
Listen, did you want him out of the apartment or in the apartment?
I wanted him to stay because he was still on
Then
the
there was
lease.
no reason for you to file for a protective order.
I just
It's
didn't want him to
nonsense.
hit me again.
You said that the last time he put his hands on you was when he choked you 2 months before. That's what you swore to in here.
Yes.
So that there had to be a reason, 2 months later, that you went to the police, you managed to find your way to the police.
Yes.
And file this protective order.
I went to the courthouse to file that.
Listen, you're not being honest with me. He moved out, he had a right to move out. He would have been crazy to stay there. Absolutely insane to stay there with a protective order. When all you have to do is pick up the phone, call the police, they come, they arrest him. And all you have to do is say, he threatened me, and he finds himself in jail. So he would be insane to stay in the apartment.
May I please say something?
Sure.
It says right here that he was not even served. He didn't even know I had a restraining order on him until after. I'm telling you.
It doesn't make any difference whether he knew or not, madam. You knew.
Yes.
So how dare you come here knowing that you had the restraining order, that you didn't serve on him for another couple of days, but you knew you had it,
Yes.
and still want him to pay rent?
Because his name was still on the lease. I did not ask Devin to leave. They said 15 feet because his name was still on the lease. They could not kick him out. I had no choice. I didn't want him to put his hands on me again, Judge.
Good.
I was afraid. I didn't know what else to do.
I understand. You should have left. Should have left. But you can't go get a restraining order on him and say you have to stay in the house, despite the fact that I have a restraining order on you.
Okay.
So now you are like my prisoner. You look at me cross-eyed, I'm going to call the police. Whether he did anything bad to you in September or not, I don't know. Certainly you didn't go to the police in September. So he would be nuts to stay with you. And now you come to court and you say, I want him to pay the rent.
Yes, because...
When he did nothing to you in November, nothing to you in October, nothing to you 3 weeks in September. If I believe that you got into a fight and he put his hands on you in September, I'm not condoning that.
Okay.
And if you put him out right away, I would have said, okay.
Okay.
And if I believed that he choked you in September, I would have said, you're bad, you have to pay the rent.
Okay.
But when you wait 2 months, there's something else going on.
I tried.
Okay,
I
I'm
did
trying
everything-
to. Believe
No,
me, I'm
Judge,
trying.
I did everything I could to get to the police department. I went throughout the month of October to get information on what I could do because he's the father of my child. I was trying to ask for information about child custody and what I could do about everything.
I'm not talking about child custody.
I know
I'm talking
domestic violence.
I'm talking about a restraining order.
Okay.
Not child custody, not support, not anything else. Just about the fact that you were in abject fear of him and in need of a protective order that excluded him from the house. You cannot live with somebody with a restraining order and expect them to stay in the apartment. Because of the way the laws are recognized now, all you have to do is call the police and say, he looked at me cross-eyed, I want him arrested. And then he's there on a violation of a protective order, which allows them to incarcerate him for up to 6 months by just looking at you cross-eyed.
But those were not my intentions.
Oh, listen, I don't care what your intentions were or not. The fact is you did have a restraining order against him, and he was perfectly right to leave because you didn't go and file that restraining order at the time you allege he hurt you. You waited 2 months. So there was some other agenda that you had, and I don't know what that was because you look at me, like you don't understand what I'm talking about. But then you were served with a restraining order and you came back into the apartment with your mother.
No, not my mother.
When?
Around, I guess, a week later.
After you were served?
Yeah, I came, I got all my stuff, and then that was it.
Not true.
You came and you got some of your stuff, included the refrigerator.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, that's what she's annoyed at because the refrigerator, she said, was given to both of you as a couple by your mother.
She didn't give it to us both as a couple.
I don't care. Yeah, she did at the time because you were both eating out of the refrigerator, I assume. But he's allowed to keep the refrigerator.
It was not a week later. It was the same day because I had to purchase a refrigerator the very same day. I have the receipt with the date.
But I don't understand what you want, and I don't understand what your pain and suffering is.
Because I almost had a miscarriage. I had to be taken out of school literally on November 29th. My doctor had to write me an excuse because I had to keep on being rushed to the hospital. And I have all the hospital papers stating that I had
You have a hospital paper that says it's his fault that you almost had a miscarriage?
Well, it was stress.
Of course it's stressful. Life is stressful, madam. Life is stressful.
Yes, it is.
Life is stressful. You don't want to be stressed until you're sure about somebody. You shouldn't get pregnant by them.
Actually, those were my intentions either.
Well, it's not your intentions. That what you do is you take care.
But I was on birth control. I have the papers proving that I was on birth control. You would like to see it?
Well, I suggest you sue the birth control company because it failed. Listen to me, Miss Hines. Are you living in the apartment now by yourself?
Yes.
Perfect. Are you working?
No.
Well, how are you supporting yourself?
I had money that was saved up, and I spent all that money on the rent.
How old are you?
I'm 20 and a half.
So why don't you go to your father or your mother's house? You're 20 years old and you have a baby. He should pay child support, but he's not going to support you. You're not his wife.
No,
He said he'll contribute to the support of his child. He absolutely should do that.
But he's
Are you
not.
paying child support?
No, not yet.
Why not?
She just, I don't know, she just filed it, I guess.
She doesn't have to file it. Did you see your baby?
Yeah.
Well,
no.
You have to take care of your baby.
I see him when I can. I work about 6 days a week, so I can't be there all the time.
Well, if you work 6 days a week, then what you should do is you should have enough money to help support him.
But he
And you
doesn't.
don't need a court order to tell you that, sir. Do you understand?
Mm-hmm.
I should see the money coming out of your wallet right now.
Please, for some diapers. I would like some diapers.
Listen
for
to
our
me.
son.
Don't talk to him.
Okay, I won't.
I should see money coming out of your wallet now. Did you hear what I said?
I heard you.
Get it out.
Don't have none in my wallet.
How could a man who works 6 days a week not have any money in their wallet?
I don't keep money in my wallet.
Where do you keep it?
In the bank.
Good. How much money do you have in the bank?
Don't know.
Well, I've got news for you, sir. When ultimately you're going to want to see this child, and the tape of this is going to be available for her, for whatever, you get no sympathy from me if a father needs a court order to tell him that he's supposed to pay child support. Court's not supposed to tell you that. And here is supposed to tell you that. Do you understand? So the support should be forthcoming. You don't have to pay anything for rent. Because she wanted to live alone, she filed for a protective order against you. And if that's the case, then she pays the rent. Got it?
Okay.
And if you don't want to pay the rent, go home to your mother. Or get a job and start supporting yourself.
I will.
Good. Perfect. Your case is dismissed. That's all.
Party drug excuse, you may step out.
I thought that I was going to win because he left me.
I really didn't want to have the baby right away.
He got me pregnant. I didn't get myself pregnant.
When she got pregnant, yeah, there was a lot of anger.
He has another baby on the way.
I really didn't want to have a child.
The girl is about 5 months pregnant, and my son's only 3 months. What is that telling you about him?
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of McLeod versus Lawler, step forward, please.
Ashley McLeod says former friend Justin Lawler owes for late fees associated with a broken window on her rental car. Ashley says police officers were forced to break into the car after Justin passed out drunk.
Miss McLeod, you and the defendant were friends. It's my understanding that you wanted to take a little day road trip together. You needed a car, so you rented a car on your credit card.
Yes.
And you were going from someplace to San Diego?
Actually, we were going from Austin, Texas to South Padre Island. And Justin had told me that he had to be on the rental car agreement because I couldn't rent the car by myself because I was under 21.
Okay, but the car was leased with your credit card?
Yeah.
Okay, and he was driving?
Yes.
What time did you rent the car?
We had gone that Friday. It was sometime in the afternoon to rent the car. And then we were going to leave for South Padre shortly after we had rented the car.
And you did?
Yep.
Was he drinking?
When the incident occurred, he had been to a few bars. He'd had a few drinks.
Well, that would be a yes.
Yes.
To make a long story short, what happened was he took the car to go from one place to another. I don't know where you were going. But according to you, you pulled the car over and fell asleep, but fell into a dead sleep coma because the police came up to the car and they tried to wake you.
It was actually parked in a parking spot.
They tried to wake you, and they couldn't wake you from this deep coma sleep. They banged on the door, they rapped with their baton, and then they feared for your safety. Since the car was locked, they busted out the window of the car in order to ensure that you were safe. Now, the car had to be taken in to be fixed. You paid for the window, but it took time, and she was charged $500 extra on her credit card that she feels as if you're responsible for, because but for the fact that you fell asleep in the car, it wouldn't have happened. That's your case.
Yes.
Mr. Lawler has an interesting defense that we are all breathlessly waiting to hear.
When we first rented the car, I actually told her to get the rental car insurance because that way if anything did happen, we would not be liable for the damages done. And at that time, she said that she had insurance. It would be $100 cheaper. The guy rang it up with the insurance on it for the rental car. And then she said, well, no, it'd be cheaper if we do it the other way. I didn't want to because I had rented a car before and know that if you get rental car insurance, it covers everything. So she insisted on putting her current insurance on there. And then once we got down there, her mom, she talked to her, told her the insurance was on there. And then her mom said if anything happened to that car, that their insurance would get dropped. So the insurance didn't cover the actual damages done at all.
Can I say something? What?
No!
Oh, sorry.
I'm not finished with him yet.
Sorry.
So let me understand his defense. His defense is she should have taken out the insurance. That's your defense?
Yes, ma'am.
Sounds right to you?
Well, that sounds like what he said.
That sounds right. Why did you fall asleep in the car, Mr. Lawler?
Why did I fall asleep in the car?
Just a second. Is there an echo in here? I know that you think that it's going to give you an opportunity to think of a reason.
He wasn't sleeping. Sorry.
I'll get back to you. Why did you fall asleep in the car?
I had a couple drinks and I passed out in the car, and it was parked in a parking spot.
There you go.
I was not driving the car, though, that night.
All right, Mr. Lawler, let's dissect what you just said to me.
Okay.
You think that because you talk fast, that I'm not going to be able to dissect what you said to me? Okay. So you had had a few drinks and you passed out in the car.
I pulled the car over. I didn't drink.
That's what you just said. Had a few drinks. Now, where did you do this drinking?
I had a couple hotel rooms.
Not in bars. You were in hotel rooms.
No, I was actually... Sorry.
Who were you in hotel rooms with?
Just different kids we were selling tickets for our Akon party that next day.
How many different hotel rooms had you been in drinking that night?
Just a couple, actually.
Same hotel?
Just different ones.
Different hotels?
Yes.
How did you get there from one to the other?
I drove the first...
I drove.
The first one, yes.
Just a minute. I drove. And how'd you get to the second one?
The second one?
Yes, the
My
second
friend took me to the second one in his
car.
car.
The second one. Your friend took you in his car, and you left your car where?
There's a condo that was parked at.
You didn't tell me you were in a condo, sir. You said you were in hotel
Well,
rooms.
that's what South Padre has, condos and hotels. We just go to different ones.
You told me you were in a hotel room. Do you see where we're going, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Cameras pick up everything. So do my eyes. I have very, very bad vision when I have to read something without my glasses. Far away, I can tell a smirk and an I gotcha from a mile away. What do you do for a living?
I'm a promoter for a production company.
They're usually pretty glib and pretty light on their feet. Promoters. I've been promoting myself for 3 times as long as you're alive. You owe her for the car. And you're going to pay her for the car because it was your fault.
Even though the insurance...
Your fault! Nobody laid you down, pried open your mouth, and poured alcohol down your throat. Nobody told you to fall asleep in the car. Nobody told you not to tell your friend, would you please take me back to one of these condos where I'm supposed to be staying tonight? Nobody told you any of that. You were drunk. You drove a car drunk. You passed out in the car. Your fault. You pay for it. How much did it cost you, sweetheart?
The remaining charges that he owes me for is $541.63.
Did you pay for your half of the rental?
Yes.
Okay. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $541.63. Thank you very much. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Now, this is case number 40 on the calendar in the matter of Hazeltine, Ireland versus Nice. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Sir, have a seat.
Who is Miss Ireland?
I'm Miss Ireland.
Hazelton?
Hazeltine is my mother.
Miss Hazeltine, according to your complaint, you, not your daughter, but you, rented a room from the defendant.
Yes, ma'am.
And you found that room on something on the internet called Craigslist?
Yes, ma'am.
And signed a month-to-month lease.
I did.
When did you sign that?
March 1st, 2007.
Where had you been living before that?
I was residing in an apartment which I shared with my daughter, and she decided to move out on her own and get her own apartment. So I thought it would be good for me to move into a place where I could save a little money, maybe meet some new people, until I was able to purchase my own home.
How long had you been renting rooms?
I've been renting rooms for about 4 years.
What kind of property do you have?
I have a home in Elk Grove, California.
How many bedrooms?
5 bedrooms.
How many tenants do you have?
Currently 1.
How many tenants did you have when you had Miss Hazeltine?
Just myself and Cindy.
And it was a month-to-month tenancy?
It was.
It is your claim that Miss Nice terminated your tenancy without proper notice, and you want moving expenses, your security deposit back, and you want damages because she, you claim, assaulted both you and your daughter.
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Nice says that you are not entitled to your security deposit back because you promised that you were going to stay through April, and you didn't. It is her claim that you actually assaulted her. So let's find out when the trouble began. You moved in March 1st.
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead.
About approximately a week after I moved in, I noticed some strange behavior from Miss Nice. When I was in the home alone, and especially when I had company over, I would notice some outbursts. It seems she was talking to herself, kind of laughing out loud. She'd walk through the home when I'd have company over and bang anything that would make noise, opening and closing compulsively the garage door. The washer was close to my room, so she'd slam the washer door up and down.
Got it. Let's move on.
Okay. And I became just really uncomfortable in the home. I'd find myself, I'd sign up for overtime, I'd go to the gym, anything to avoid coming home because her behavior was really disturbing, uncomfortable. And so I noticed that it became more obvious when I had company over, so I decided to talk to her about it. So maybe I was doing something wrong. And so I came home, and so I knocked on her door. She didn't answer, so that's when I called her cell phone, and I found that she was actually at home in her room. And she came out, and I had a conversation with her, and I said, is there something bothering you, lately? Because I've noticed that you've been slamming things around, banging things. And her response was, bang? I don't bang. Bang? I don't bang anything. I said, oh, okay. Well, apparently, when my boyfriend's over, does he make you uncomfortable? No, I don't have a problem with your boyfriend. And I said, well, one night he spent the night here, and it seemed that you were really uncomfortable with that, and that's when I noticed the most noise. She goes, well, I didn't even know he spent the night. And she goes, well, it's in your lease agreement that you can't have any overnight guests. I said, well, I didn't notice that in my lease agreement. I apologize.
Was it in your lease agreement?
It was, ma'am, in my lease agreement.
Okay.
And I said, I respect that. And I said, well, that's something that I'm not sure if I can live with. I apologize. I overlooked that. And I said, if you feel real strong about that, then I think I might have to make a decision to move out. And I would go ahead and give you proper 30-day notice. And she goes, okay, well, that's fine.
Fine. What day was that? That was in
March?
March?
That was, yes, the 19th of March. I sent her a copy, certified mail, which she...
May I see it, please?
Absolutely. That was sent regular mail as well as certified mail, which I have a receipt there. Ms. Nice never picked up the certified copy.
Okay, and you received this letter terminating
Yes.
her tenancy?
Yes, I have
Fine.
it right here.
Good. So what happened?
Okay,
What was
so
next?
things were a little still uncomfortable in the house, so I decided to avoid her as much as possible. About a week after giving that notice to her, I came home and found that she was interviewing another tenant, which I gave her the privacy. I had went and cleaned up and got ready to go back out again.
I haven't
She
even
then,
met you.
she then.
You have a turn. Right now, plaintiff is talking.
Okay.
Go ahead.
After I had finished and cleaned up and the person had left, she had come and spoke with me and said, okay, well, when are you going to be moving your furniture out? I understand, I received your 30-day notice. And I go, well, I can start putting it in storage soon if you really need the space, because she was saying that she wanted to offer that space to the tenant. And she goes, well, that's your right to keep it there for the remainder of the month. And, things seemed to be okay then, but she was still exhibiting some behaviors that I just didn't feel that.
I understand. You were moving out for a reason. Keep going.
Absolutely. And so I had received a phone call on March 31st. I was at the gym and I received a message from Miss Niece. And on the message she says that she's demanding that she have a face-to-face meeting with me and discuss the 30-day notice agreement and finalize me moving out. And so I was kind of, I didn't understand.
Just tell me what happened.
Okay, so I called her up and I said, I got your message. What's the deal with me having to come over? And she goes, well, I want you to speak to me face to face. I gave you the same respect when you gave me your 30-day notice. And I said, well, I really don't want to have any confrontation with you. You're making me feel really uncomfortable and threatened. She goes, well, if you do not come home right now, I'm going to lock you out. And I said, you can't lock me out. And she goes, I'm telling you, if you don't come home right now, I'm going to lock you out. At that point, she disconnected the phone call. Me and my boyfriend were at the gym. I said, come on with me. She's threatening to lock me out. I need to go home. When we got there, me and my boyfriend entered the home, and Miss Niece was in the kitchen. She had already taken all my groceries out of the fridge and out of the cupboard and had set them up on the counter as if she was moving me out. I said, what are you doing? Please put my things back. You can't move me out. What's the problem? And at that point, she came around the counter of the kitchen with her finger in my face. And she goes, girl, you better shut your mouth, because in the name of Jesus, I'm going to smack the devil out of you. At that point, my boyfriend placed his body in between us because she was this close in my face. And he's that face to me, and he's like trying to block her. And she turned around, and she swung about backside of him and hit me upside the head. At that point, I grabbed my cell phone. She grabbed her cell phone. I called the police. She called 911. The police arrived, a female police officer. Police officer went and spoke to Miss Niece. Miss Niece had stated that she was going to be locking me out of the house, and the officer had stated, legally, ma'am, you cannot lock her out of the house. And she goes, don't you tell me how to run my household.
Can I see the police report, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
She comes up behind me and then kind of hits me. And then Miss Niece turned around to my mom and she goes to make a fist like she was going to strike my mom. And I grabbed her arm and I put it down and I said, don't touch my mom.
Time. And daughter Danielle Ireland claims Cynthia's former landlord, Sydney Niece, is guilty of an assault. Sydney claims it was the plaintiffs who assaulted her.
Now, when did the incident happen with your daughter?
Same day.
Same day?
It was a little bit later on that day when I had came. The police officers had actually left at a certain point, and my mother had called my boyfriend and I to show up. She had to go and get a U-Haul to get all of her things, and we both ended up showing up at the exact same time as my mom with the U-Haul, and that's when I arrived.
And what happened with Miss Niece?
Well, we came into the house, and she was in her bedroom, had shut the door, was in her bedroom, like the police officer told her to stay in the room. I went into this little front area that was right next to her bedroom door and started to grab furniture. And I grabbed this big glass top that was to one of my mom's coffee tables, and I started going out. And then Miss Niece came out of her room and was really mad and angry and was directing a lot of anger at myself and at Ryan, saying that he didn't have any right to be in the house, and that was saying something about how we couldn't go through the garage door. She was telling us we had to go through the front door for some reason, and I was standing on my way to the garage door. She was really like livid and saying that we couldn't be in our house, that we had no right to be in there, and then she comes up behind me and grabs me by the back of my neck and like kind of pushes me and then kind of hits me. And then Miss Niece turned around to my mom and starts getting in her face, and she's throwing her hands wildly and stuff, and then she goes to make a fist like she was going to strike my mom, and I grabbed her arm and I put it down and I said, don't touch my mom. And then it just turned into a scuffle where she was just being really wild.
Okay, Miss Niece, I would like you first to tell me your version of the events of the 31st of March.
Okay, Saturday, March 31st, I initiated a call to Cindy to finalize things in the matter. She had sent me a letter March 20th indicating that she was going to move out at the end of April. And so I wanted to finalize things as far as obtaining the rent for April.
She already told you that she was going to give you the rent April 3rd. in the letter.
Right. In my lease, it indicates, in the initial agreement that we signed, it indicates that if any rent is not paid time or in full, that they will forfeit the security. That's in item number 2 in our
What
lease.
difference does that make? She already said, I'll pay you your rent on April 3rd. It's in her letter that she sent to you.
Because I just like to do things decently and in order, so...
This is decently and in order. You called her on her cell phone.
I called her on Saturday and I asked, because she had initiated an appointment in mid-March. She wanted to see if her boyfriend could stay overnight, and she knocked on my door. Actually, I was napping, and she knocked on my door until...
Shh, don't interrupt her. I'm just asking you what you told her on March 31st. You called her, she's at the gym.
On March 31st, I asked her if she had any time in the afternoon. I said I'd appreciate if we could finalize things and, you know, get the rent. So then she started cursing at me, and she started getting really violent on the phone and calling me up.
Did you tell her she had to come home or else you were going to change the locks?
No, absolutely
not. Did you take her food out of the refrigerator? I'm speaking.
No, I didn't actually.
Did you take her food out of the refrigerator and place it on the counter?
No, not...
Did you tell the police when they arrived that you were planning on changing the locks and locking her out?
When she started cursing at me on the phone, because she, by the way, she's been pretty violent before, so when she came home from the gym, she came home and she kicked me, which I have a photo of the bruise on my leg from when she kicked me then. At that point, I had called the police because I had wanted to have her arrested. So when they came over, they kind of separated us, got both versions of what had happened. And so I didn't have her arrested at that point.
The police found you very agitated, Ms. Neese. According to all 3 police officers who arrived at the scene...
Well, she assaulted me. I have pictures. She admitted biting me on the arm.
There was an altercation. There's no question there was an altercation.
Well, I actually didn't touch her or her daughter. Both of them came home. She called her daughter, and they both came in, and then they assaulted me in my room. And that's why I had called the police a second time. When I was on the phone with the police, I was terrified. They said, "Where are you?" I said, "I locked myself in my room," because I was afraid they were going to come in again. I have pictures of the door and from when they tried to barge in my door, and I have pictures of all the bruises. They hit me.
What do you do for a living, Ms. Neese?
I'm an insurance broker.
For a company?
For myself. I have my own agency, and I'm going to school for court reporting.
So you operate out of your home or out of an office?
I'm usually on the road, but my office is out of my home, yes.
So you don't have an office other than at your home?
Correct.
And how long have you been doing that?
5 years.
You make a living at that?
Yes.
The last time you had a tenant prior to the plaintiff, what was that tenant's name?
Prior to Cynthia? She was the first tenant in that home.
So you'd never had a tenant?
Not in this home. When I was in the Bay Area, I've had tenants. She was the first tenant in this home.
Judge, I have some information regarding the tenants in the Bay Area. San Mateo County Courts, there's 3 claims regarding Ms. Neese in regards to tenant-landlord. 2 times she was a defendant and 1 she was a plaintiff regarding the same situation, withholding deposits.
Can I see
and so
that?
forth. Actually, I didn't print it out, but if you go to San Mateo County Courts, it is public record.
You had 3 landlord and tenant actions while you were there? One as a plaintiff and one as a defendant?
I'm not sure what she's referring to, but it was just probably a lack of, my income. But with regard to this...
I'm not talking about... I'm asking you whether you had 3 previous landlord and tenant actions.
I think there was 1, and it was just because I was having problems, with cash flow, but they have since been paid back.
One was that she put a stop pay on a deposit as a tenant herself.
That sound familiar?
I'm not sure what she's referring to, but I would appreciate if we could talk about this case today and why, I don't believe that I owe her the security deposit.
You absolutely owe her the security deposit. There's no question that you owe her the security deposit.
Okay.
You told her to leave. I've read the police report. You said you wanted her out that day. She left. She did not stay the month of April, despite the fact that she said she was planning on paying April's rent. You absolutely owe her the security deposit. There's no question about that.
Well, because she assaulted me, and I had to put out expense. She didn't return the key when she moved out.
I believe that this was an unfortunate circumstance, that everybody's tempers got very flared up.
Actually, mine did not.
Well, not according to the
Miss
Neese. According to the police, the only person...
I was assaulted by her and her daughter, and her boyfriend had to pull them off of me.
And the police department...
When
I'm speaking, don't speak.
Okay.
Clearly, not only did you claim that they were assaultive, you
I
also...
have photographs of all the assaults.
I'm speaking. Do you hear me speaking? You also claim conspiratorial behavior on the part of the police. You weren't satisfied with the police officer who came. You demanded their supervisor. 2 supervisors arrived. They couldn't calm you down. You demanded their supervisor. So everybody is in a conspiracy against you. There's something not right, Ms. Neese. All of that is clearly contained in the police report. I assume you have a copy of it.
The copy that I obtained from them does not contain that information. That's not what they had given me. They
May
gave
not
me
be what
one
they
line.
gave you, but that's what I have.
Okay, can I show you the pictures of my bruise?
Absolutely.
And actually, I still have them on my body.
Absolutely. Show me.
This is a picture of when she bit me in the arm.
She absolutely acknowledges that she
And
bit you in
then,
the arm, and she
a
says she bit
bruise
you.
on my
I'm
breast.
speaking. Don't you want to hear me speaking? She absolutely acknowledges that she bit you in the arm so that you would let her go.
Absolutely, ma'am.
Okay, can I tell my version of the story, ma'am?
When I contact the police department.
What had transpired, basically, the whole issue, when she first, in the initial ad, I indicated no alcohol, no overnight guests, and she breached both of those. She was drinking a lot while she was there, and she was having overnight guests, her boyfriend. And I never even said anything because I didn't want to get into any confrontation. But then she mentioned, she talked to me that one day, and I said, no overnight guests. Are you okay with that?
So she gave you
said,
notice.
yes.
Listen, I got it. I have other things to do today. She said, I'm moving. She sent you an appropriate notice that she's moving. Move on with it. Get to the 31st.
Right, but then she didn't pay the rent, and so I wanted
No. She has no obligation to pay the rent on March 31st. None. And if you demanded that she come home from the gym...
I didn't demand that she came home. I called her on the cell phone, and I said, do you have any time this afternoon? What's your availability?
I don't think you should have roommates. I don't think you should rent rooms to anybody. I don't. I think that you are a very, very nice lady who clearly should live alone, not with anybody else, because you can't make rules for adults. I mean, she's an adult lady. She's not a teenager. You didn't rent to a teenager. And if you don't like other people living in your house because other people aren't going to do things the way you do...
Well, it's not that I want to do things the way I want to do. But when I rented
a room,
they said no overnight guests. When
absolutely
I rented, they
right.
set their
And she said I didn't.
and I honored them. So if she didn't want to...
Do you take medication? Do you take medication?
No, ma'am.
You should. Because I've already told you 4 times, this is the 4th time, that when I start to speak, you have to stop.
Okay.
You can't. There's something that's not working right. You owe her security deposit, which was how much?
It was $500.
Did either of you seek any medical treatment for your injuries?
No,
yes, I did.
I'm not talking about you. Now, where did you move when you moved?
I was actually homeless for 8 days. I was allowed to stay at my boyfriend as roommate with another roommate, and he was out of town.
That's fine. Don't make up things as we go along. You weren't homeless because you were able to sleep someplace.
Well, yes. I mean, I was without a permanent...
Fine, and then you found someplace.
Yes, ma'am.
Perfect. Whole thing is very, very unfortunate. Really, very unfortunate. You want to say anything to me? No. You want your security deposit back?
Absolutely.
You got it. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $500. Your counterclaim's dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. This is case number 174 on the calendar in the matter of Lopez versus Gonzalez. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated. Ladies, have seats, please.
Mr. Lopez, you and the defendant have a child together. Is that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
It is your complaint that the defendant had you arrested on false charges of assault, domestic violence, and you want to be compensated for that. And in addition, you want a home entertainment center that you say was yours, that is in the defendant's home. The defendant says that the home entertainment center was a gift. You did, in fact, assault her, and she is counterclaiming for her injuries.
I don't have nothing. He took everything.
Defendant says the home entertainment center was a gift. Do you still have it?
No, he took everything.
She doesn't have it. And that you did, in fact, assault her. And her counterclaim is for the injuries that she suffered during the course of this assault, which occurred around Christmas time. Is that right?
Christmas Day.
Okay. All right, Mr. Lopez. Were you living with the defendant at the time that you were arrested?
I was moving out. I was in the moving out.
He was already a week out.
I'm going to get to you in a minute, but don't interrupt him. What do you mean you were in the process of moving out? What does that mean?
The day after Thanksgiving, we had a really big argument and we had broken up. So we made an agreement by no later than the first week of January that I had to have everything of mine moved out and be completely moved out. I was staying between there, like a few days if I babysitted my son, or I stood at my best friend's house or my mother's house.
So most of the time you weren't living there?
Yes.
All right. So tell me about Christmas Day. You came over to the house?
What happened was we agreed to meet up at my best friend's house. We picked up my son and her son, her other child, and we agreed to go back to her house, to her apartment, and open up the children's gifts together. And from there, when we arrived at the home, we opened the gifts. She asked me to stay a little bit longer while she took a shower so I could watch the children. I agreed. At that time, I received a phone call from my fiance on my fiance's cell phone, just before she went to the bathroom to take a shower. At that time, I was speaking to her. I explained to her what time I was going to be finished. I explained to her that she was going to take a shower and I was going to meet up with her right after. At that time, she began screaming, saying stuff that didn't need to be said over the phone for my fiance to hear. So at that time, I said, why are you acting up? You know what, I'm not going to stay. I'm leaving. She began an argument. I tried to leave. I had my son in my arms with the cell phone. She wouldn't let me leave. So I said, you know what, I'm leaving. I'm leaving my son. I put my son down in the crib. At that time, I dropped the cell phone in the crib without knowledge when I put my son down. I tried to leave. She blocked the doorway. I kept on explaining to her, move, I want to leave. I'm not staying, I'm out. She didn't want to let me. So then I barged through. She had her arms spread out against the doorway, holding me, not letting me go. So when I barged through so I could leave, she scratched her arm. So I left. When I got outside, I went to go call my fiance.
That is not even
And when I got downstairs,
Ms. Gonzalez, I don't
back.
want to hear it's not true again. Do you understand?
No problem.
No, that's not an answer. The answer is yes, Your Honor, I understand. I will not interrupt again.
Yes, Your Honor, I understand. I will not interrupt again.
That's right. Go ahead.
So outside, I went to make an attempt to call my fiance, and I noticed I didn't have the phone. So when I went back upstairs...
That was stupid.
Because the phone was upstairs.
That was stupid.
I went and I looked for the phone. And
Say yes, that was stupid.
Yes, it was stupid. So I asked her if she had the
you
cell
just
phone.
gotten out of the house, you pushed her, she scratched her arm, according to you. You leave the cell phone and you go. You don't go back into a confrontational area, sir. That's stupid, Mr. Lopez.
Yes.
All right, so you go back upstairs. What happened when you went back upstairs?
When I got upstairs, I asked her, did she have the cell phone? She says, I don't have it. So as I looked through the house, I remembered I had it in my hand when I put my son down. When I looked into the crib, my son wasn't in the crib. I went and found my cell phone under the sheet. Again, I attempted to leave. Again, she blocked my way. I said, just move, then move. At that time, she told me she had called the cops and I was going to be arrested. I said, well, I'm leaving. And outside the door, a lady, which I had never seen before in this building, for the whole year I was living there, had my son. As I attempted to take my son from the lady, 2 female officers were coming upstairs.
What were you taking your son from the lady for?
I didn't know the lady. If I don't know the person, I don't want nobody I don't know having my son in my hands. I don't know what they'll do. So the 2 officers were downstairs. They came, and they brought us all into the apartment. Me, her, and the 2 kids. While we were in the apartment, the officers explained because this domestic problem, they were going to arrest both of us. At that time, they would take both children and put them in child custody. I said, I'm not pressing no charges. I don't want nothing. I just want to go home. My son can stay. I have no problems. At that time, the female officer told me to stand by the door, don't move. So at that time, there was a knock at the door. 2 more officers came, 2 male officers now. We go back inside. She's in there screaming. Next thing you know, all I hear is her mother screaming at me. Jason, I wouldn't do this to you. And she said, why are you doing this? I said, what's going on? The officer said, turn around, and they handcuffed me. Later, when I was taken down to central booking for arrest, I was informed of the charges. It was assault with weapon, child endangerment. They said I put a knife to my son's back. At no time did I ever touch a knife to grab against my son. Because of that, I had charges of an ACS for attempt on my child, and
All right, you were held in jail for 2 days, is that right?
for, almost 2 days. I called my fiance.
All right, the charges were subsequently dismissed when you decided to drop all charges against each other, is that right?
Yeah.
Do you see your son now, sir, regularly?
No.
Why not?
I still can't, because she won't let me see my son.
Uh-huh.
It's a struggle for me to see my son.
All right.
And every time we went to family court for me to get a chance to see my son, she made false charges, knowing I was going to get visitation of my son, to have me arrested.
Okay. I'd like to see first the medical bills that you have as a result of this incident on Christmas Day.
I didn't get to get the medical bills because this happened so quick that I didn't get a chance to get them. So I have my pictures.
Let me see all the papers you have. All the papers.
Your Honor, Judy.
Shh, just a minute.
I have a scar on my left hand.
Just a minute.
And the lady that
Just a
called-
second. These scratches are what you're talking about?
Yeah, I had a scratch.
All right.
I had a hairline fracture in my left hand.
Don't tell me you had a hairline fracture without any medical bills, without reports. Don't tell me about a hairline fracture.
Excuse me, Judge.
I'll get to you in a minute.
Thank you.
I have a few questions for Ms. Gonzalez. The police officer who took this report took your statement, is that right?
Yes, and on the statement?
I'm speaking. The police officer who took the report took your statement, and he read the statement to you, is that right?
Yes, he did.
And after he read the statement, he asked you if it was accurate, is that right?
Yes, he did.
And you said it was accurate, is that right?
That's right.
And you signed it?
Yes.
And you wouldn't have left out anything vitally important, is that right?
No.
So I'm going to read what you wrote in the statement.
I didn't write that. The officer.
What the I don't care whether you wrote it or the officer wrote it. I just asked you whether he read it to you and whether you signed it. You said yes.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Jason Lopez says ex-girlfriend Suhey Gonzalez had him falsely arrested for domestic abuse. Suhey claims Jason slammed her hand in a door and held a knife to their son's throat.
All right, Ms. Gonzalez, I'm going to read what you wrote in this police report. It says, at the time and place listed above, the perpetrator, that's him, who was the victim's common-law husband, did grab the victim by her throat, choked her, at which time he forced her left hand between the door and the wall and repeatedly slammed the door on the victim's hand, causing substantial pain and swelling to the victim's left hand. That's what this says, okay? Now I'm going to tell you what you wrote in your answer. When I told him to leave, he grabbed our son and tried to take him. When I tried to stop him, he pulled a knife out and held it to my son's neck. He said, if you don't let me take him, I'll kill both of us.
No, they didn't write it in the police.
They wrote nothing about a knife threatening to kill himself, threatening to kill this child. You know why they didn't write that down? Because you didn't tell them that.
Is that you?
No. Because you didn't tell them that.
All right, I didn't tell them exactly at the time.
Right, at the
because
time.
they had me in a separate room, they had him outside.
Just a second. At the time, you didn't tell them that he took out a knife, he held it to the baby's throat, he threatened to kill the baby. You told him that he hurt your hand and your hand was in pain. Not that he threatened to kill your child. You made that up later.
No, I did not.
Oh, yes, you did.
Oh, no, I did not.
Oh, yes, you did.
They knew that he was the one. Can I say something now?
Yeah.
In that police report, the lady signed, she's the one who signed right next to the statement, not me. Because I didn't call the cops because he broke my phone, and that's why. I didn't call the cops. The lady from my building called the cops. She's the one who had both of my kids because my oldest was crying. She's the one who called the cops.
Okay.
I didn't get a chance to call the cops.
Here we go.
Because he wanted to take my son, just like he took my son 3 weeks ago.
Let me explain to you what got you angry, Miss Gonzalez. I've been in this business a long time. He's at your house. According to your answer, he told you a couple of weeks before or a month before, he didn't want to have, I'm speaking, that he didn't want to have anything to do with you anymore. He had a new girlfriend. Clearly, he has a new girlfriend. All right?
Excuse me.
I'm speaking. He comes over to your house, right? According to your answer. You open up the Christmas presents together. It's all a nice family situation. You ask him to watch the kids while you go take a shower. This is what you write here. When you come out of the shower, you hear him on the phone with his girlfriend. I'm not saying that that's what happened to her. I'm saying that that's what she wrote in her answer. That makes one very angry.
Of course.
Of course. Of course that makes you very angry because there you're here with him, with a new baby. He's taking care of the baby's presents. He's in your house Christmas time, and he's going to say goodbye to you, and he's going to go to girlfriend number...
And it was just a week that we had broken up.
Fine. So you're really angry. The knife was a nice touch. He wasn't arrested with a knife. He wasn't arrested with a knife.
All right.
You know what I'm talking about.
And
you know what I'm talking about.
And I know what happened.
Yeah,
and I know exactly what happened. Because he tried to take my son. He tried to take my son.
Just a second. What do you mean?
That's how... Who called my mother?
Miss Gonzalez.
Who called my mother? The lady.
Miss Gonzalez.
That called the cops.
Miss Gonzalez. Is he the father?
Yes, he's the father. And I'm not saying that he's not.
speaking. Is he the father?
Yes.
Then you have no greater right to this child than he does.
But he kidnapped my son for 3 weeks.
You can't kidnap your own child unless there's an order of custody.
This is recently. We've been going through this. I just want to go on with my life. I want him to go on with his life. If he wants to see his son, he's more than welcome to see his son. I have nothing wrong with that. But he cannot see his son because he has order protection.
Then they're going to put you out. When you claim that you were severely assaulted, and the best picture that you can come up with is a picture showing me 2 scratches on your arm. 2 scratches. That's what they are. No hairline fracture, no hospital records, no, well, all right. This was an argument. And unfortunately, because the police take domestic violence seriously, as they should, they got to arrest somebody.
And I lost my securities license.
Mr. Lopez, you do not get an A+ for smarts. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
You don't get an A+ for going back for a $39.99 cell phone after you have already had an altercation with her, and you are out of the problem. You were outside.
Because he never went outside.
Excuse me?
Because he never went outside.
Because you wouldn't let him go outside, Ms. Gonzalez,
because he was
you
trying
were
to kidnap
so
my
angry.
son. He was trying to take my son. And he's devious like that, that he would take my son and leave. Just like he did 3 weeks ago. And that's why he was going to get rearrested. I had to get the cops to come get my son from his house.
You keep saying my son.
Because he's my son. Because he don't pay no child support. He doesn't do nothing.
What do you do for a living?
He hasn't done nothing.
What do you do for a living?
I was working.
What do you do for a living now?
Nothing.
Who supports the child?
I do.
No, not if you're not working. You get welfare?
Yes, I do.
If you get welfare, then I support your son. You think I should take him?
Yeah, but I was working.
Just a second. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? He doesn't support his child, and you don't support your child. I support your child. So that means that I should get custody? Don't be ridiculous. All right, Ms. Gonzalez, you keep saying, it's my child. He's taking my child. He's entitled to see his child. It doesn't sound to me like he's too bright. Because he went from this child, you're going to have another child? You keep rubbing your belly, right? Yes. You got enough trouble with one. You're going to make another one? Yep. How many more do you have?
That's the only one. The only one coming.
In any event, I read the police report. I read the police report that doesn't talk about a knife to the throat, threatened to kill the child, threatened to kill anybody, and I see 2 scratches on your arm. You also, sir, you want to play that for me?
Yes, I even have an
Go
audio
ahead,
tape of
let
her
me hear it.
saying-
But I still can't get over the fact why you had me arrested.
Because I was just upset. Things were going through my mind. I'm admitting I'm starving.
Oh, so you're admitting that you did get me arrested?
This is why he was...
This chick, because I was with another chick?
No, it wasn't only because of that. It was because of a lot of things, Jason.
Oh, okay. But then why did you tell him I punched you in your face, I choked the out of you?
No, I didn't say that.
Gigi, the DA said that in the court.
Mr. Lopez, I didn't even have to listen to that. I mean, I've heard this, I've been around this business now for 27 years, right? Yes. And I know, when I read your papers, I see her affect, right? Yeah. And I know exactly what happened. That doesn't mean that you were smart, A, as I said, to go back to the cell phone, B, to get a telephone call from your girlfriend. Tell your girlfriend, don't call me until I call you. I don't want to create any more problems with her. I'm going to open presents with the children. Don't call me. That creates a problem.
We had already opened the gifts. This was around the time I was getting ready to leave.
She shouldn't have called you. And you shouldn't have spoken to her. Say, this is a tacky problem. I don't want there to be any problem with her. Don't call me. I'll be there. I'll be home when I'm home. And the reason she called is because it's a little territorial. She's not so happy either. You're going over to visit mother number 1. She's going to be mother number 2. You know, you got to be smart.
She wasn't pregnant at the time.
2 months later. Wow,
now she is. Now she is, right? And on your security job, you can hardly afford to pay for yourself.
I don't have work.
Listen to me, sir. When you had a security job, you could hardly afford to pay for 1 child. Now you're going to have 2. Did you pay for a lawyer? No. They gave you a free lawyer.
Yes.
You spent a couple of days in jail.
Yes.
You shouldn't have.
And so did I, because he falsely arrested me.
For what?
He said that I made phone harassment. On June 30th, he called me. I have the phone records for that. He called me with my own phone card that he rung up. He falsely arrested me on June 31st. I got arrested. I made the report on June 30th. As soon as the time right after he called me and called them and let them know that he was calling me and harassing me. And he called me with my own phone card. And right after that, he calls his girlfriend and his mother.
No. No.
Ms. Gonzalez, your counterclaim is for the assault that you claim he perpetrated on you
and
on
forced
Christmas
arrest.
Day.
It says it on the paper.
And according to your complaint, you are filing for injuries and damages due to the alleged assault. Okay? You do say somewhere in your answer that he filed false charges, but the damages you are requesting are for the assault. and I don't find that he assaulted you, so your counterclaim is dismissed. The only thing that I have to consider now is whether there was an argument and whether, as a result of false statements that you made and continue to make and continue to embellish to the police.
Not me,
that
because I wanna go on with my life. He's the one who brings me here. For what?
He brought you here
For
because
what? He keeps calling me and harassing me.
Listen to me. He's known you a long time. I've met you now for about 15 minutes, and I don't think he's crazy. And I wouldn't precipitate phone calls and contact with you because I think that you're an angry lady. I think that you feel as if he jilted you, that he left you high and dry with your baby, and now he's got somebody else. All of those things, doesn't pay child support, you're not working, but that doesn't give you the right to have him arrested and make false allegations, which I believe that you did, and I'm awarding him $1,000 on his claim. That's all. By the way, she doesn't have your entertainment center.
Yes, she
That's
does.
all.
Your Honor, when we went there, the officers
Goodbye.
explained.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Your Honor, this is case number 184 on the calendar in the matter of Roy versus Zamias. Party, you're welcome. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ladies, have seats, please.
Miss Roy, according to your complaint, you rented a room in defendant's home.
Yes.
When did you rent the room?
From January until May.
And what was your monthly rent?
$500.
According to your complaint, there came a time sometime in, was it May that you had an argument?
Early June.
So you stayed there till June?
Yeah, well, yeah, I was to
You stayed there till June?
Mm-hmm.
You had an argument over Tupperware.
Yes.
As a result of that argument, you say you were assaulted, given an eviction notice, forced to move. You want the defendant to pay you for the assault, pro rata for the rent, because you had already paid June's rent, I assume.
Mm-hmm.
Your moving expenses, told you wanted to pay $1,543. So let's take it from. When in June did you have this argument?
June 6th.
Tell me about the argument.
Well, the morning of June 6th, I woke up and I had been looking for my Tupperware throughout that week. And
What Tupperware?
This Tupperware right here.
Those two pieces?
Yes. So throughout the week and in the morning before work and everything, that's when I had time to ask her. So on June 6th, I knocked on her door and she said, you know, come on in. And I said, hey, Nicole, you know, have you seen my Tupperware? And she said, no, you know, and went on into, you know, Karina, I need to stop condensing your food down into smaller containers in the refrigerator. And this was the third time that I had asked her for my Tupperware, and she was changing the subject when 2 other times I wasn't getting direct answers, and where she was directing me, they weren't there. Like the first time I asked her.
I'm not interested.
Okay.
Just get to the point.
So I said, look, if I don't get my Tupperware back, I'll just take it off my rent. And she said, well, don't you dare! And she threw her blankets off her, with which every morning.
Just a second, are you telling me you went into her bedroom?
Yes.
To ask? Let me finish my question. You went into her bedroom to ask for those 2 pieces of Tupperware?
Yes, for the
And
third.
she was in bed?
Yes.
Go ahead. So she threw her blankets off.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
But, you know, every other
Just answer the question.
Okay,
Tell me,
yeah.
she threw her blankets off and said what?
Don't you dare, you know, and she threw her blankets off and she ran to the door and slammed it open. She said, I ate it! And she stormed into the kitchen. And I followed her. And she opened her Tupperware cupboard and forced all of her Tupperware on me like that.
Let me explain something to you. Don't get dramatic with me. Okay, go ahead. So she...
And threw all of her Tupperware on me.
She didn't throw all of her Tupperware on you.
Yes, she did. Yes,
How did
she did.
Miss Roy, you're standing there, so what you're telling me, she took out each piece of Tupperware from the cupboard and threw it at you?
No, she has a Tupperware cupboard, and she put her arm on one end of that Tupperware cupboard, and with all of her force, threw it on me, and I was standing behind her, and it landed on me.
Is that the assault you're talking about?
No, and there was one other.
No. Is that the assault that you're talking about?
That's one of them, yes.
And when was the other one?
Then she kept standing there and screaming, you know, how dare you, and don't you dare, don't you even dare, Karina, shame on you, shame on you.
Listen to me.
Like this.
I hear you.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Well, this is what she was yelling at me.
Go ahead.
And I said, you know, Nicole, you said you were going to take care of my Tupperware, and and on Sunday your maid came, and I haven't seen him since. And she said, there's your answer, Karina. Look in that cupboard there. Look in that one. And I go over there, and I open it up, and it's kind of on the ground, so I kneel down, and there's my Tupperware, and I grab it. And when I'm down, She's leaning her whole body into me, pointing her finger in my face. How dare you? Don't you even dare. Shame on you. That's it. I want you out of here. And she hit my head with her finger. She had all of her weight on me.
Next. So what happened next?
So then I got up and I'm just like backing away. I'm like backing away. I'm walking out of the kitchen, you know, and she threw her hand up. Damn you, how can you do this? And that's it, Karina, I want you out of here in 30 days. And I'm standing there, and we're standing in front of Anna now, okay? And I said, good. And Anna stood up and said, hey, and looking directly at me, and said, hey, the babies, as she's looking at me. And I had not said anything through this whole entire time.
What did she say?
The babies. The babies.
Hey! Quiet. What happened next?
Well,
you went to work.
As Anna was saying.
You went to work?
Yeah, I went to work.
And what happened when you came home from work?
There was a letter in my room.
And what did the letter say?
It said, because of your histrionics and verbal assault this morning, Anna and I agreed that for the sake of the daycare children, you are to leave the premises as soon as possible. I am hereby giving you a 14-day notice.
Okay. You don't deny writing that note? No, good. Okay. Where did you come to a 14-day notice?
In my contract, Your Honor, I have it's a month-to-month lease.
Yes, so there's usually a 30-day notice.
Right. And because of the daycare, should there be any behavioral or safety issue, I exercise the right to use the 14-day. And also the tenant.
Is there a notice in your agreement giving you the right for a 14-day notice?
Yes.
Let me see it.
Yes, it's right here. And
can I see it, please?
Yes.
Good.
There's also a 48-hour, but that's for something more serious like underage drinking.
Let me just see.
In my home.
Okay. With at least 14 days' notice given and acknowledged in writing by both parties. Okay, so you gave her a 14-day notice.
My assistant and I decided. Okay.
So that's on the 6th?
Mm-hmm.
When did you move out?
Moved out on the 9th.
30 days hath September, April, June, and November. So what we're talking about is 21 days. Is that right?
No, so I had paid June's rent on May 21st to stay till June 21st.
Oh, okay. So that means that you're only entitled to 12 days.
Yes.
You have a problem with giving her prorated rent?
I do, Your Honor, because I gave her the 14-day notice.
She moved out before.
And she had announced to me that she would be moving out the following Saturday, which was in a couple of days. And my exact words were, Karina, you're free to move whenever you want, but the room is yours until the 21st.
That's just because you say so.
And
listen to me. Just because you say so doesn't mean that that's so. You gave her a 14-day notice.
Right.
Because you say there was some egregious reason why you gave her short notice. If she decides not to stay there until that time, that's her prerogative. You have to give her her prorated rent back.
But, Your Honor, the problem is, although she physically moved out, her property was still in the room.
All of her?
Absolutely. No, not all of her property.
What?
The day after she moved, she said she needed to bring her answering machine in because her phone...
What was in her room?
There was a lamp, a pole lamp, and then her ashtray, and she said Saturday night when she moved out, I'm really tired, my ashtray is in there, I didn't even wash it, I'll get back to it later. And I did not even go into the room to clean or anything. When I did go after the 20th, when she got her security deposit back, then I went in there, and these two items were in the closet still.
Is that the other items?
The lamp that she had said when she was moving, she said, you can either give this away or throw it away.
Then you should have done that.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Karina Roy says former landlord Nicole Zimius assaulted her with Tupperware.
Okay, what items do you think suggest that she still occupied the room? The teddy bear and the cup?
Well,
listen to me, speak.
The lamp.
The lamp she told you to get rid of.
The ashtray, and these two things, with the kind of ups and downs that we've had in her stay, I was not about to even go into the room, and I didn't.
That's fine. That's your prerogative. You did, you didn't. I don't care whether you did or whether you didn't. Clearly, you gave her a notice because you didn't want her around. You felt as if you wanted to give her 2 weeks to get out. That's fine. I find that she elected to move out before. I believe she's entitled to do that. She doesn't want to be there if you don't want her there. She moved out. She gets her portion of the rent back that she paid, because I don't consider that, a cup and her teddy bear, leaving property in the house so that you couldn't rent the room again if you wanted to. All right. Now, next, you want her to pay your moving expenses. Is that right?
Yes.
Wrong. So we've just dealt with that. You don't get your moving expenses. Now, damages due to the assault. I'm prepared to hear you if you want to tell me what your damages were as a result of the assault.
Because of this, I mean, the way I physically felt, okay, was just like somebody just ripped my, I mean, I just felt hollow in here. I mean, I did not feel stable at all. My driving
You're not stable. Anybody that walks into a bedroom, somebody sleeping in their bed, to ask for 2 pieces of Tupperware and start an argument with them while they're in bed over 2 pieces of Tupperware isn't too stable.
Okay.
To start with.
Well, because
$500 divided by 30 equals $16.66. Clear that?
Yeah, just multiply.
What?
Just multiply.
Yeah, I'm going to do that. Wait a second. I'm learning how to use this machine.
Okay, I'm trying to tell you.
Just a minute. Times 12 equals $199.92. That you are entitled to. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $199.92. Thank you. You want to give her back a bear?
Certainly.
Perfect. Bird, would you take care of the bear and the cup?
Sure. Parties are excused. You may step out.
She fought with all the tenants. She fought with me. She fought with my 2 sons who don't even live there anymore.
Absolutely not. I'm such a meek, shy person. I bowed down to them and I stayed out of their way.
And now the next case.
All parties on Habib versus Fields. Step forward, please.
27-year-old tutor Nafisa Habib is suing her ex-boyfriend's friend, 28-year-old bakery worker Anise Fields, for smashing her windshield with a baseball bat.
Ms. Habib, both you and the defendant have a child.
Yes.
And that child was fathered by the same person.
Yes.
So that's how you know each other.
Yes, ma'am.
And I would assume that you don't like each other.
I have no problem with her.
Well, then you think she doesn't like you.
I guess, yes.
Because it's your claim that she smashed the windshield of your car.
Yes, ma'am.
When did this take place?
January 12, 2001.
Where?
His uncle's house where he was staying there at the time.
This is the father?
Yes.
Of both children?
Yes, ma'am.
You have any other children?
Yes, I do.
How many?
4.
4 other ones?
4 children altogether.
Altogether. How old is your child?
My child is 3.
And yours?
He's 3. My child's 1 month older than her son.
Tell me how it happened that you happened to be in the same location.
January 12th, he called me and asked me to bring over my daughter. He doesn't see her a lot, so I brought her over.
To where he was staying?
Yes. While we were there, I was downstairs in like the lounge area in the basement, and he was upstairs. And I heard some banging on the door. I thought he had locked himself outside the house. So I called upstairs, Rude Boy, did you lock yourself outside?
What's his name?
Rude Boy. By that time, he came downstairs. He said, Anise is outside.
Anise?
Yes.
That's you?
Me. Yeah. I said, are you going to let her in? He said, no, she's upset. She's going to want to fight. I said, fight who? That's when she busted the basement window. She had a bat in her hand, and I saw her. Rude Boy ran upstairs. I stayed downstairs. They were outside. I heard her yelling, what do you think, I'm stupid? Is she in there? Is she in there? I heard him yelling. He said, I'm going to call the police. He came in the house. Apparently, she left. He came downstairs. He didn't call the police. We started cleaning up the glass. At that time, I said, Rude Boy, let me drop you off at work. When I went to my car, opened my door, I saw the glass on my seat and saw she bust my windshield. I switched cars with my father and I went to her house. She invited me in. We talked for a while. The end result of the conversation was that Anise said she was going to pay for my windshield when she got her school money because she didn't have any money at the time. The very next day, after Anise busted my windshield, she called me and she apologized continuously. Nafisa, I'm sorry, this is not me. I don't go around busting girls' windshields. I felt sorry for Anise because I know how it is for a brother to allow you to believe that it's all about you and it's not all about you. So I felt sorry for her. I said, no problem, Anise, when you get the money.
So, bottom line is, you saw her with a bat break the basement window.
Yes.
But not your car window.
No.
But she did, in fact, tell you that she would pay for it. Okay, let me hear you.
She's lying. Basically.
Why don't you just tell me what happened? You went over
I wasn't there. No, I was not there. No.
Just a second. Are you telling me that you never went to the house?
Yes, that's what I'm telling you.
I think you have to come up with a better story than that. I'm going to tell you why. Because I believe her when she says that you came to the house.
Mm-hmm.
I believe her when she says that she saw you with a bat in your hand and that there was glass downstairs at the basement window. So I think we're going to start over again.
She's lying. He lives there. So he was there. So he can tell you. I was not there.
All right.
She's lying. I don't know. My basement window never got broke. I don't know how you could see somebody break the basement window from the basement. I don't know what she's talking about. Prior to this, she said I broke her window, busted her car up. She told my grandmother I did it. She let a friend of mine use her car. He crashed her car up. She said I did it. I don't know nothing about what this is about.
Ma'am, I'm sorry, Miss Judy, Judge Judy. I'm trying to be calm because I want to cry because I cannot believe that Jamar would sit up here and lie. He was supposed to watch Hanifa, but he said that he couldn't watch her. I didn't even know he was going to be here. Rude boy, you should be ashamed of yourself.
Shh. Don't talk to him.
I'm sorry.
Can I see the police report, please?
Yes, ma'am. Miss Judge Judy, he also told me, Rude Boy himself told me that Anise had intentions several times to pay you for your car windshield, but things that came up. When I went to her house, I met her mother, I met her daughter, Asia.
You brought your daughter to
I met her son.
No. Okay, just a minute. Wait.
Oh, God.
I can't believe you, Rude Boy.
I can't believe you.
Oh, it's over.
Never was anything.
Whatever, Rude Boy. Whatever.
If you talk amongst yourselves, you're leaving.
Excuse me.
Tell me why you reported this to the police 2 days later.
Well, I believed in when she said she was going to pay me for the windshield, and when she called me the very next day after it happened, I believed her. My father said, Nafisa, cover your tracks. If you get a police report, then at least you have that in case you have to take her to court. I did not believe it was going to have to go this far. It's only $183. I'm not asking her for cab money or the inconvenience she put me. My sister had to come and get me several times to pick up my children. I work 2 jobs. I raised 4 children by myself. I don't have time for this. This is so juvenile.
Mr. Jones, do you currently have a relationship with any of the 3 or 4 women?
This one here.
This
No,
one.
he doesn't.
Shh,
I'm sorry.
No.
I apologize.
No.
I'm sorry.
So you currently have a relationship with Anise?
Yes.
How long have you had that relationship with Anise?
Since last year, we started dating each other and being in a relationship last summer.
How many children do you two have together?
1.
Your other 2 children, do they have the same mother?
No.
What do you do for a living?
My teacher aide, bus aide.
Nothing.
Shh.
I'm sorry. I apologize. He's lying. I'm sorry.
Well, how was she taking me to work if she came over?
Just listen to me.
She's making up stuff.
Listen to me.
I'm sorry. I understand. I apologize.
Teacher's aide, bus aides don't make a lot of money.
Small money.
Small money doesn't make 4 children.
No, I make 4 children, but my money take care of my children.
Impossible. Impossible. Okay. Do you work, Anise?
Yes.
What kind of work do you do?
I work at a bakery.
How many children do you have?
5.
Do all 5 children live with you?
Yes.
You make a lot of money in the bakery?
No, I don't. I also go to school.
How is your family subsidized?
From me working and going to school.
How much money do you make at the bakery?
I make $5.50 an hour.
$5.50 an hour gross does not support 6 people, and he certainly doesn't make enough to support you and your children. What kind of work do you do?
I tutor children full-time, and I work at a floral shop part-time.
How many children do you have?
4.
What other support do you get for your children?
I receive food stamps, and that helps a great deal.
How old are your other children, Mr. Jones?
10, 2.
So you have a new child, not with either one of these 2 women.
Yes.
And shortly after that child was born, you renewed your relationship with Anise. Is that right?
Yes.
Excuse me, Miss.
Shh. $183 is what the windshield cost you?
Yes, ma'am.
Pay it. $183. Judgment for the plaintiff.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out. This is case number 154 on the calendar in the matter of Brock versus Courtney. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
Mr. Brock, you are a peace officer. Is that correct?
That's correct, Judge.
Your complaint is that you made a traffic stop of the defendant for speeding, and that subsequent to giving him a ticket, he filed a complaint against you, which was patently false, with Internal Affairs causing an investigation. And while you were cleared of all charges, that report will remain on your file permanently, and you want him to pay you damages.
That's correct.
That's what the case is about. So I have a couple of questions, then I'm going to go to Mr. Courtney. How long have you been a peace officer?
I've been a peace officer, Your Honor, for approximately 9 years.
And what is your assignment, sir?
I'm assigned to the traffic division as a motor officer and an accident investigator.
When did this incident happen?
The incident occurred on September 2nd of 2000.
What time of day?
Approximately 8:30 in the morning.
And what was the reason that you stopped the defendant's car?
On that date and time, Your Honor, I was in uniform working speed enforcement in my jurisdiction. when my attention was drawn to a vehicle traveling at a high rate of speed on a street named El Camino Real. My visual estimation of the vehicle's speed was approximately 50 miles an hour, which is about 15 miles an hour over what's posted for that roadway. And that roadway in itself has numerous driveways and businesses in this particular area, which restricts a sight distance for vehicles traveling.
Whatever. So you thought he was going about 15 miles over the posted speed limit?
That's correct.
You pulled him over?
Yes.
When you pulled him over, you identified yourself as a peace officer?
Yes, I did, and I was in uniform.
Mr. Courtney, I'm going to come to you next, and I want you to tell me your version of what happened after you were pulled over.
The officer came up to my window, and I inquired of him as to why
Well, just tell me what you said. I inquired of him. Tell me what you said to him. He came up to your window. Did he say anything to you, or did you say something first?
He asked me for my identification.
Did he say, can I have your identification
Yes.
or your driver's license and registration?
Exactly. Yes, he
No.
did.
Which one?
He asked me for my driver's license and for registration.
Did you give it to him?
I looked for it, and then I suddenly remembered that all of my identification, along with my passport, was in my briefcase, which was sitting at home in another vehicle with my driver waiting to take me to LAX. I was on my way to Europe.
And you told him you didn't have
Yes, I did.
driver's license nor the registration for the car.
Yes.
What did he say to you then?
He asked me for my particulars, my age, my date of birth, my address, my height, my weight, color of my eyes, and I gave him that information.
Okay. Go ahead.
And he then returned to his motorcycle, which was probably 5 to 10 yards, parked behind my car, and he was there for quite some time.
And then?
Then he returned to the car, and he presented me with a ticket to sign.
Mm-hmm.
And I signed it.
And then?
And then he tore the ticket off, and he left.
So that all sounds very nice. And then what did you do?
Well, there was a lot that transpired in between
Well,
because
I'm
of his
asking
actions.
you. I mean, we're not going to play I've got a secret in 20 questions, Mr. Courtney. So far, you told me what happens when you make a routine traffic stop, license, registration you don't have, checks your ID, gives you a ticket, and you both go on your way. That sounds all
the
very
gentleman
nice.
here, while he's composed today, was quite...
No, just tell me what happened,
He was
Mr.
agitated.
Courtney.
He was very agitated.
Tell me, sir, he comes and he asks for your license and registration. You don't have it. I want you to tell me, point by point, which I thought you did, what it was that caused you to file a complaint against him.
When he approached me, Your Honor, he appeared agitated.
How did he appear agitated?
When someone looks at a person and they're not composed, possibly he had a bad start to his day, I don't know, and he did...
So he appeared agitated to
Yes, he did.
Okay. Go ahead.
Then, when I told him that I didn't have my identification with me, he just didn't seem to believe me, and he became more agitated.
No, don't tell me agitated. What did he say to you, sir?
He told me he was going to take me to magistrate's court.
Okay, go ahead.
And that was after I had informed him that I was on my way to LAX to fly to Europe, so I assumed he was going to take me to magistrate's court. I was going to miss my flight.
So what did you say to him?
I just basically cooperated with him and gave him the
tell me what
information
you
that he
said.
wanted to. I don't recall exactly what I said to him at that moment, but what I did do is I got on the phone and I dialed 911 right away.
Why?
Because of how he was conducting himself.
So far, I haven't heard anything, sir.
Well,
untoward.
I'm about to share it with you. He was,
Well, please,
he
share
was
it.
very animated.
How animated?
He was animated to the point whereby he was in my face, in my car.
How was he in your car?
His face was literally 12 to 18 inches from my face, and I'm sitting in the driver's seat, rather than having a good 3-foot distance where people can just communicate with one another. He was in the car, so to speak. He was in my face. He was not happy. He was in a bad mood. He was agitated.
Your Honor, this man is perjuring himself.
Just a second. Now, after he left, according to you, there were no words that he said to you. It was his affect. Is that right?
No, he had threatened to take me to magistrate's court, and
That
I
is
couldn't
his right.
understand why.
That is his right to take you to magistrate's court, sir. So that's not a threat. There were no words that he said to you that were threatening. It was his affect.
And his hand on his gun, Your Honor.
Yes.
This was just a simple traffic stop
Well,
on a
it's
Saturday
simple-
morning.
It's a simple traffic stop, Mr. Courtney, except that the person who he stopped had no identification, had no license, had no registration. So what initially as a traffic stop becomes something else when there is no identification. I'm going to repeat myself. Other than the fact that you say his affect appeared to be agitated, he did not threaten you in any way. He didn't curse at you in any way. Is that right?
That's not correct, Your Honor.
Well, what did he say to you, sir? That's what I'm trying to get to,
The
Mr.
intonation in his voice, he was very abusive in how he addressed me.
Tell me, sir, what he said.
I don't recall the exact words, Your Honor, but just the manner in which he conducted himself. He didn't comport himself properly.
All right. May I see the report that was filed, please?
This is a letter that he wrote to my department
I'd like
for
to see
Internal
that.
Affairs. That's the letter right there.
Your Honor, may I make a point, please?
Some of the points he made in the letter using the words...
Go ahead. Shh. Just a minute. Go ahead.
This incident occurred September 2nd. The Criminal Investigation Department conducted its investigation, wrote a letter back saying that they weren't going to pursue anything against the gentleman. Therefore, I assumed it was fait accompli, everything was over. I talked with my lawyer here in Beverly Hills. He said, pack it in, forget it. So I shredded everything.
Well, I have it here.
No, I appreciate that, but I wanted to peruse it prior to coming on the show.
Okay. Well, in the letter, Mr. Courtney, that you've written to the police department, you have accused the plaintiff of not only menacing affect, but of cursing at you on at least 3 occasions, something that one would necessarily remember if you remember his affect. I'm going to make a mark.
Your Honor, while you were
Just
looking
a
at...
second. Just a second, sir. Would you show this to the defendant, please?
Thank you.
Read the portions that I've checked.
I apologize. I don't have my glasses with me.
It's a strong
Are
enough
we in
for
the same
anybody.
age? We're in the same age range?
I'm younger than you are.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Sheriff's Deputy Edwin Brock claims Donald Courtney filed a false complaint after a traffic stop. Donald claims Deputy Brock was verbally abusive.
Can you read with my glasses?
Yes, I can. Perfectly.
Now, I'll take them back. And the paper.
Thank you.
Without going into graphic detail, well, I best go into graphic detail because we have a record here. When I was signing the ticket in shrieking tones, according to you, he said, sign the ticket or you're going to court now. That I would remember. Then, you say, he said to you, with his finger, you and your limousine. And then you say he said to you, when you said, please just give me the ticket. And at this point he erupted and said, I've had enough from you. Those are things that I would remember if I were telling a story, Mr. Courtney. Mr. Brock, according to your complaint, sir, you made this stop. And the time you made the stop, you took out a recording device. Is that right?
Essentially, Your Honor, yes.
Not essentially. That's what you said here. You said, I got off my bike and turned on my tape recorder.
Yes. It's a device that I wear on my belt. It's not something that I have to remove from a stored place.
I understand that.
Okay.
And you take that off because it's protocol to turn on the tape recorder so that you can memorialize the stop. Is that right?
That's correct.
Where is it?
I have a copy of the tape right here.
I'd like to hear it.
Okay.
Bird.
It's difficult to hear, Your Honor, because of the background noise of traffic, but you absolutely will not hear foul language from either party on that tape.
What are you stopping me for? What's the speed limit? 35 where?
On Speedy Boulevard, the Garden View.
Are you serious?
I'm very serious.
Jesus Christ, I lived here for years. I never knew it. I thought it was 50. Are you serious? From where? Where is it 35? From where to where?
Encinitas Boulevard to Garden View Road.
Okay, which is Garden View?
Just past.
Are you serious?
No, that street's been there for 35 years.
No, I know, but I thought it was 50 the whole way down. Wow. I'll be damned.
Well, let me start with the registration issue. How about that?
I can't believe it. I'm flying to Zurich right now. I'm trying to get to the airport.
How do you go to the airport without identification?
Because I'm going home. The limo's picking me up.
There you go. Do you have your vehicle insurance with you?
Nope.
That's the only one you have?
No, I have one.
Okay. Bring your insurance report with you. Do not admit guilt to the charge of being cited here for the speed violation. You have to appear in court for the charge. Do not admit guilt to anything. Okay. Your court date set November 13th, 8 o'clock. Okay? You said I'm not admitting guilt. Well, your constitutional right, though. Even if you agree to... What are you charging me for? Speed violation, the proof of insurance in the vehicle. Well, what is the speed violation? What do you mean, what is it? Well, what was I doing? Well, you're over speeding. 48 miles an hour in the first time. I mean, really, let me say something. You really have nothing better to do than stop me 50 miles an hour over the speed limit in this town? I mean, come on. Let me ask you a question. Yeah. Should I start writing tickets? Well, let me say something to you. No, don't say anything else. Why not? I can say whatever I'd like. You sure can. Yeah. Why you sign a ticket, though? You're going to sign the ticket and not delay me any longer. The ticket asked you nicely, and I did ask you nicely. No, you don't want me out of court. I'm standing out here. Well, I did the last time. Let me tell you what happened the last time. I don't care what happened to the last officer. I'm hanging out here with these cars going 45 miles an hour. Now, I want you to sign the ticket so I can terminate. You want to terminate the contract by signing the ticket here. I'm not going to sit here and argue with you. I'm trying to talk to you now. I don't want to do that anymore. You know why? You're going downhill. You're getting the ticket. From what? You're getting the ticket whether you like it or not. I don't mind. Okay, I would like you to sign so I can go. Relax. You can voice your opinion in court. If you sign the ticket and you can relax on your trip to Switzerland or wherever else you go. I'll take it there. You want to go sign in front of a magistrate, you can sign it. If not, you sign it right here. It can be taped later on. Right here on the side of the road is not the place to have debate with cars going behind me at 40 and 50 miles an hour. I'll tell you, this is not the end of it. Respect, you know what? It's not the end of it. You won't be the first one. Oh, no, you don't know what happened last time I took an officer's report. Here's your copy. Hang on, don't go. I need your things, your thumbprint here, since you don't have any driver's license. Would you put your right thumb on the pad right here, please, and just lightly touch the box? Good day. I got a problem. Drive safely.
You're way out of line, Mr. Courtney. Way out of line. Didn't you know he had a tape recorder going?
Yes, I did.
Well, if you knew he had a tape recorder going, sir, and I've just listened to the entire conversation that the two of you had, there is nothing that he did to you that was untoward that day.
Respectfully, you weren't there.
I don't care whether I was there or not. I heard you.
I was there. I saw his facial remarks, his hand on the gun, and furthermore, I have a witness here with me today who will testify that he physically assaulted her in a court hallway 3 months later.
Do you want to know something? I am not interested in your witness because that case, if it's a case at all, has absolutely nothing to do with this.
Yes, it does.
Because you wrote this letter in which you allege, in this letter, which went to Internal Affairs, that he on no less than 3 occasions cursed you. He did not. That was clearly a lie. Now, maybe its intention was to get somebody's attention, but it was a lie because I've just listened to this entire conversation.
Your Honor, the validity of the authenticity of that tape has not been proven.
To my satisfaction, Mr.
Not
Courtney.
to mine and not in a court of law.
Sir, you've subjected yourself to this jurisdiction. This isn't the first case that I've heard, Mr. Courtney. And this isn't the first tape that I've listened to.
Your Honor,
and
I asked for that information. It was not provided.
And I'm telling you that the only one who was giving a hard time that day was you. As a matter of fact, there is some indication on this tape that you threatened him. You said to him something about the last cop who gave me a ticket. And he replied very quietly, I don't care about the last cop that gave you the ticket. Please just sign this ticket. And he didn't threaten to take you to magistrate's court, sir. He only said to you, you can either sign the ticket here, sir, or you can sign it in magistrate's court. Why don't you please sign it here? Then you can be on your way.
But I did sign it.
Mr. Courtney, you were vindictive. The complaint that you made against him was totally without merit. Based upon that tape, which is what cleared him. Very smart of the police department to have you carry around these tapes, guys. I want to tell you something. It should have been done a long time ago. Now, I don't believe that Mr. Courtney knew that you had that tape, because if he did, I doubt very much whether he would have consented to appear here today. He did. You're suing him for $5,000. I take judicial notice of the fact that a complaint to Internal Affairs remains on your record, even if there is a finding at the end of an inquiry that there was no basis for the complaint. It does remain on your record. I am granting you your complaint in the amount of $5,000. This case is over.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Yeah, this is case number 227 on the calendar in the matter of Blackman versus Miller Vaughn. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Who is Mr. Miller?
I am.
Would you sit down, Mr. Vaughn, please? And is this your wife?
Yes, ma'am.
Why don't you have a seat?
Thank you.
Mr. Blackman, this is an interesting case. I don't think I've ever tried one like this before. You knew the defendant.
I met him first time at our wedding, actually. He was a friend of a guest.
And according to your complaint, there came a time when you and the defendant arranged to have a young woman from the Philippines, who was, I believe, a cousin of your wife's,
Distant cousin, yes.
come to New York for the purposes of marrying him.
Yes, ma'am.
She came to the United States.
Yes, ma'am.
He didn't marry her.
No, ma'am, he did not.
And you want him to pay for all of the expenses that you incurred, which you say that he had agreed to pay. In addition, at some point, a check was given to you for $1,500, and then payment was stopped on that check, but that check was written by Mr. Vaughn at the defendant's request. So that's why he is a co-defendant. But he's really a nominal co-defendant. Okay, so when was your wedding, and when did you meet the defendant?
In February of '99, the defendant was at our wedding. A few days later, he came to a Valentine's dance party, and that's where I spoke to him about our site, FilipinoGirlsTours.com. I said,
No. Speak slowly, because we're missing. You had a website?
Yes, ma'am, a small business. I met my wife through Pen Pal Club, and when she came over, she goes, I have many friends that would like to come too, so we put up a free Pen Pal site where people could get free addresses and phone numbers, stuff like that, and correspond. I don't know if he first saw that site, or I really don't know, but he came to our wedding, and then at the party he was there. And I said, well, you know, we do have a cousin of hers that's real cute on our site. Would you like to meet her? And he says, well, I'd be interested. So I gave him the contact information, the address, the phone number. She did not have email at the time. And from there, it progressed. They got to know each other well.
They got to know each other via mail?
Mail and phone, yes.
And phone.
Many phone calls. Okay. And he went over there on his own.
He went to the Philippines?
Yes.
And visited, that is correct. When did you go to the Philippines, sir?
It was April or May. I don't remember exactly what the date was.
Of 1999?
Yes.
Okay. And you went and you met this young lady? Go ahead.
Yes, when he returned, he relayed to me how happy he was, how he would treat her so nicely, that he really loved her, and he was very frustrated that they were never left alone this whole time. And in the Philippines, most girls are very chaperoned. This particular woman had never dated really in her life. Very, very sheltered. And I helped him with his paperwork to bring her over, because we had just started our site, and I wanted to get more experience in the fiancé visa part and what have you, so I did all of his paperwork for him.
What's a fiancé visa?
In order to bring a girlfriend, fiancé, to the United States from another country, you must file paperwork with our government saying that you met her, prove that you met her, and that it's a legitimate relationship, and you want to marry her. And you bring her over, you do all this paperwork.
Do you have a copy of that application?
I do not have a copy of his, per se.
I need a copy of his.
I do not. I have the form, but I have all the financial responsibility forms that he signed.
Can I see that, please?
Yes, ma'am. Saying that he would be responsible for her as long as she was here. Okay. I've highlighted the...
Okay, and you signed this financial affidavit, sir, on the 31st of August, 1999. Is that right?
I'd have to see it.
Sure.
Yes.
Good. So you signed the financial affidavit in August of 1999, agreeing to be financially responsible for this young lady when she came to this country.
Right. It said that I would be responsible so that she wouldn't be a burden upon our state.
That's correct, but that's only one of the affidavits that you signed. That's why I read the second one very carefully, which is, the first one says that you agree that she will never become a public charge while she's here, but the second affidavit that you signed, sir, says that a plaintiff may seek specific performance of my support obligation, and you acknowledge that any federal, state, local, or private agency that pays any means-tested public benefit on behalf of the sponsored immigrants has standing to sue you to meet my financial obligations. Okay, I got it. Now, when did the young lady come here?
She arrived on Friday, the 28th or 29th of January, I believe. The wife and I actually picked her up at the airport because the defendant said he could not get off work to pick her up. So we drove to Atlanta from Asheville, a considerable distance, picked her up, brought her that evening, left him at his apartment, where I even helped him move to. That night, they were alone. It was Super Bowl weekend. That Sunday, they came over. The girl was very, very upset with herself, what have you. Mr. Miller had talked her into giving up something very precious to her, which was her virginity, which is something these girls really hold proper to them, because he had spent so much money to bring her here and so much effort. She figured, well, he's going to marry me, it's okay. The way things worked out, she found out she did not know we had loaned him the money to bring her here, because that wasn't...
Now tell me about that loan.
Mr. Miller was in the process of moving, and I had gotten to know him a little bit, doing his paperwork for him and what have you, and he seemed to be a very nice fellow. So I helped him move, brought his washing machines over to my house to store, because he didn't have a place to put them, things like that. After he moved, we picked up the girl, brought her to his house and what have you.
Tell me about the money.
Oh, the money. During this move, he's saying he had put deposits down for this, for the phone, for the apartment and everything, and he was very low on money. And I figured the girl's a cousin of my wife, so I said, would you like to have a loan to bring her here? I could loan you the money for the plane ticket as long as it did not take too long to pay me back. And he said, oh, I could pay you back in 90 days, no problem. I just started a new job.
How much was the ticket?
The ticket itself was, I don't know, he sent the money to her. I gave him $675 cash.
Is that correct? That he gave you $675 in cash?
No.
He never gave you any money?
No.
He's lying, Your Honor.
Okay, so that's in dispute. $675 in cash you gave him.
Yes, ma'am, and I even asked my wife if I could take it out of our savings account. She's a joint member of that account, and she said yes, because it was for her cousin. That'd be fine.
Okay. Go ahead.
I had loaned him the money. I picked him up the day before she was to arrive. He called me and said, I can't get off work. Could you please pick her up? I said, sure, be glad to. We went down, picked her up, brought her to the apartment. That weekend followed.
Okay, then you told me about the problem.
Right.
When she came to your house. All right.
Right.
Did he ever tell you that this wasn't going to work out?
The first indication I had of any problem was that Thursday, he did not show up one night. He kept on showing up later each night, coming home, and Wednesday night he didn't show up at all. Thursday morning the girl called me, I picked her up, brought her home. That Thursday evening, he called me, he didn't have keys to get into the apartment. He said, oh, I had to spend all night in the hospital with my son last night, and he gave me this story. His son was real sick, and he stayed there, and so I met him at the apartment and told him how badly she was hurt. And he says, well, I love her, this is not going to happen. You know, let me get cleaned up, I'll come over. That was the last I saw him in person until our criminal court trial came up. He called me the next day and said...
What criminal court trial?
For the $1,500 check.
Oh, okay.
That was dismissed due to, it was a post-dated check.
Okay.
North Carolina laws.
When for the first time, I asked you, did he tell you that this was not going to work out?
He called me on the phone that week, I believe it was that Thursday evening, and said, I'm not going to marry her. And I said, well, why? And he says, well, that's personal, I'm not going to tell you. I've got to go out of town this following weekend. When I get back, I'll get with you. And he never did call back. Mr. Vaughn called me and said that he had a check that he had written to cover her expenses for her plane ticket, my loan, a small amount of living expenses until she went home. And I was to pick the check up at the apartment. Well, we didn't have a key. We couldn't get in.
Well, you must have said something to him about money. You owe me some money. You owe me the money that I gave you, $675,
actually,
and the return, and her return flight as well.
Right. It was actually him that volunteered the money at first to pay for her plane ticket home, because he knows this is a responsibility that he signed, that he is responsible for this woman, and if they do not get married after 90 days, he has to return her. It's an agreement he's made with the U.S. government.
Okay.
So he was aware of his obligation.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Carl and Lori Jen Blackman say former friend Chris Miller borrowed money to fly in his girlfriend from the Philippines. Chris says there was no agreement to pay the money back.
When did she go back to the Philippines?
It wasn't until September.
Why not?
Because, well, she was so ashamed of herself, and in the Philippines, and I do have evidence from doctors that treat women in the Philippines.
I'm not interested in that because it's really not germane. She's not here. She was, for emotional reasons, she didn't go back.
Right, and plus the check bounced. We could not get it to cover. 5 times I took it, it would not. Each time I took it to the bank itself, they said, I'm sorry, there's not enough funds, and then I ran it through my bank to have it stamped.
But that was $1,500, and that would have covered her return flight to the Philippines.
And my loan.
And your loan to him.
Yes, ma'am, and a small amount of living expenses for a week or two.
So the whole thing was $1,500. So how did $1,500 become $5,000 that you're suing him for?
Well, we never could cash the check. It was never any good. So she stayed with us. She was real ashamed and didn't want to return home, and she did not have the money to return home because the check was canceled. And I had told Mr. Vaughn about a week after the check, when I first tried to cash it, I said, well, why isn't there any money there? And he said, well, my wife wrote a check. It'll be good in a couple of days. And I said, well, yeah, I think Cheryl may be staying a while anyways because she's very afraid about going home.
Okay, I got it. So the rest of this money, $3,500, is for her living expenses.
Basically, and attorney's fees, and we had to buy her clothes. She had no clothing other than summer clothing, and this was middle of winter, so we had to buy her clothing.
Well, she should have gone home immediately.
With what money?
With the money that you would have lent her and then sued them for the $1,500 and it would have been over with.
I don't have thousands of dollars in the bank.
This isn't fair. We're not talking thousands. We're talking about a return airplane ticket.
But it was Mr. Miller's responsibility to return her.
How much was the return air ticket?
When I returned her, it was $640, and it was during the low time of year. In January, it's a high travel time. It could be as much as $1,000 or more.
All right, Mr. Miller, let's hear it.
Well, went over there, met her, did all the paperwork and everything to bring her over here.
Paperwork.
Then in December, when I talked to her, I told her, I said, I don't think it's going to work.
You mean December before she got here?
Right.
Why did you tell her that in December?
Well, I had met my wife. We had dated, I guess it was about 8 or 9 years ago. And we had met, and we started seeing each other. And that's when I told her, I told Cheryl, I said, it's just not going to work.
So you told the young lady that you didn't think it was going to work out. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. What happened next?
She came here. Carl picked her up at the airport.
Well, when you told her in December that it wasn't going to work out, she hadn't been here yet. Why didn't you cancel these papers?
I didn't know what, she was already in Manila. I didn't know what to do.
You mean she had traveled to Manila in order to come here?
Yeah, you have to go to Manila. You have to go to the embassy in order to come to the United States.
The interview
so she had already done the legwork there and was on her way here, and they had been using your papers to process her.
Right.
Okay. So you knew she was going to come?
Right.
In January.
Well, I told her not to come. She came anyway. Carl brought her to the apartment. I told her, I said, look, it's just not going to work out. I think it was like two or three nights I stayed there, and I think that was it.
Why did you have
sex? Don't speak. Mr. Miller, when she stayed at your apartment for 2 or 3 nights, did you share a room together?
Yes.
Why?
Because there's only bed. I didn't have a couch or anything. I just moved.
So you shared a bed together?
Yes.
While he was living with your other girl.
Mr. Blackman, he was very quiet. You have to be very quiet.
Yes, ma'am.
What arrangements did you make to get her a return ticket to go home?
When me and her had split up, or she had left, went to Carl's house.
That was just a few days later.
Right. Carl had went around telling everybody he was going to have me for abandonment, had me put in prison, $12,000 fine.
Prove it.
Mr. Blackman, this is the last time I say that to you, sir. The next time I dismiss your case. Do you understand? I control it here.
Yes, ma'am.
It goes in an order. You, then him. Then if I have any questions. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you used to controlling things?
Not really.
Uh-huh. Does your husband like to control things?
She wears the pants.
What?
She wears the pants.
I somehow doubt that. Go ahead.
So once I heard what he was trying to do, I didn't know what to do, so I called my congressman. They put me in touch with liaisons. I told her what was going on. I said, I need to stop the fiancé visa. She said, okay. Well, I talked to Carl. He said, look, you pay $1,500. It'll all be said and done. It'll be over with. I said, okay, fine. It'll be done. I'd closed out my account. Mark Bond, he was a good friend of mine. I said, you mind writing a check? I said, here's the money. He said, no problem. Gave me $1,500. Well, Carl Blackman, in the meantime, had called and told her he was going to sue me, that I was going to prison, that on the documentation it says that I am liable for everything. Well, told him no, he's not. He offered to give you the money to send her back. You told him no. You've told me no, that you're not going to send her back, and there's nothing you can do to him. So then that's when he tried to go to court, get us on a criminal offense, and then we're here.
So that you stopped payment on the check that you had given him?
Yes.
That's what happened?
Yes.
But you understand that you owe him this money?
No, ma'am.
Yeah, you do. And for no other reason, Mr. Miller, than because of your actions, this young lady traveled from the Philippines to the United States. Now, you may have told her a week or two before she got on that plane, while she had traveled to Manila, according to you, to begin this process, that it wasn't going to work out. And if it wasn't going to work out, then what you do when Mr. Blackman brings her to your home is put her in the car and you say, I'm bringing you back to Mr. Blackman's house. I told you this wasn't going to work out. You don't take her to your bed for a few nights and then return her. Bad sportsmanship. Not moral conduct. You don't do a test run with somebody that you know is not going to be a permanent part of your life, especially under the circumstances where you met her in the Philippines, which was on her turf. According to what the plaintiff tells me, which I believe, one of the frustrations that you had is that you were not alone very much because of her strict upbringing in her family. So she comes to a strange place, she comes to a strange home, she comes to a person that she's known for, what, a week or two? Is that all you knew her? I mean, other than the mail and the telephone calls.
I was over there about four or 5 days.
So it was less than a week.
Mm-hmm.
And she's vulnerable because she's here, she doesn't know anybody. I don't know how her English is, but she's certainly very vulnerable, and you took advantage of that. Bad show. And I can understand when Mr. Blackman says that there was an embarrassment that she had in going home right away, and she had to emotionally prepare herself to go home because she was going home different from the way she came. How old was she?
25.
And how old are you?
I just turned 35.
And you have a child.
Yes.
I see that from here. Were you married before?
Yes.
Once before?
Twice.
So you've been around the flagpole a couple of times,
I
as
guess you could
opposed
say
to this
that.
young lady.
I don't know if she had or hadn't. I would say not.
The only other expense that I haven't addressed is your attorney's fees. Now, you said you had attorney's fees.
Yes, we tried to change her visa so she could stay here without going
That's
home.
not his problem.
Yes.
That's your problem. That's her cousin. If you tried to change her visa,
Yes, ma'am.
then you're doing that out of the goodness of your heart. That has nothing to do with his relationship with you.
Yes, ma'am.
I certainly believe that you are entitled to be reimbursed for certain of your expenses.
Yes, ma'am.
And certainly for the $1,500 plus your airfare, I believe that you did provide airfare both ways for this young lady. And I believe that she probably needed a period of adjustment before she went back.
Yes, ma'am.
Not she came one week and she goes back the next. Kind of embarrassing. But I would say, Mr. Blackman, that she's not here. I cannot inquire of her. But I would say a month or so should have been sufficient time for her to get over this and to go home.
Mm-hmm.
Did she stay with you the entire time?
Yes, ma'am, she did.
Okay. So on your claim, Mr. Blackman, I'm awarding you $2,500.
Thank you.
The $1,500 that he was supposed to have given you, plus $1,000 a month for the month that I believe would have been sufficient time for her to prepare herself to go home. So on your claim, sir, I am awarding you $2,500.
Thank you.
Didn't do the right thing, sir. That's all.
Parties are excused. This is case number 439 on the calendar in the matter of Elite Limousine versus Armstrong. Parties have been sworn in, Your Honor. You may be seated. Folks, have seats.
Who's going to speak on behalf of Elite Limousine?
I will.
Good. Tell me your name.
I'm Deborah Williams.
Well, it's an interesting case. You provided limousine service for the defendant's wedding. Picked up the defendant and I assume the wedding party at the church and took them to where they had to go. Your bill for the evening was $795, something like that.
Yes,
Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Defendant refuses to pay. The defendant says that it was very nice of you to send the limousine. She never hired you. Correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. When were you married?
October 26th.
Where?
At Zor United Methodist Church in Greer, South Carolina.
How big is this town in Carolina?
It's not a very big town.
How many churches are there?
Probably 30.
Was this on a Sunday?
It was a Saturday.
Is it your experience that all 30 churches, or most of them, have weddings on Saturdays?
Usually, yes, ma'am.
Booked a lot in advance, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you want to try to explain to me your theory of how they arrived at your church to pick you up at your wedding on the 26th of October, just at the time that you and your wedding party were leaving the church. Explain that to me.
Well, it started about a month and a half prior to my wedding. I was calling around numerous places to get prices on limos. I contacted Elite Limousine at the time of contact over the telephone. I spoke with a lady and I told her I needed a limousine for my wedding. She asked me to give her the specifics, where the church was, what time my wedding was, how long I would need the limo and so forth, and that she would put the man on the phone with me that would take the information down for me.
Go ahead.
Okay, once he got on the phone, I gave him the specifics as far as date, where the wedding was going to be held, the times I needed the service, and at that time he told me that it would be $795 and that it required a $150 deposit. I told him at that time on the phone that I was not prepared to pay the deposit because I'd like to speak with my fiance. He told me that would be fine. What he would do is keep the information I'd given him, and I had until 5 o'clock that day to call him back with a $150 deposit, and if I did not call back, it would cancel out and the reservation would not be held up. So I spoke with my husband. We decided not to do it, and because he told me I didn't have to call back, if I didn't pay the deposit it would cancel, I never called back. The day of my wedding, I walk out of the church and there's a limo there.
No, now stop a second. That's how they got to your wedding, according to you.
Yes, ma'am.
How many people were in your wedding party that ultimately used the limousine?
There were 3 bridesmaids, 3 groomsmen, 2 flower girls, a ring bearer, and my husband and I, and 2 ushers.
How did you all get to the church?
We drove our own personal vehicles, and prior to the wedding, we had all decided that we would follow each other to the reception. That was our intentions after the wedding, to carpool to the reception.
So you gave up the idea of hiring a limousine?
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead.
So after my wedding, we walk out of the church. The limo's there. Everybody's amazed, and I've got a videotape showing the actual footage where we're walking out of the church. As we walked up to the limo driver had the door open and he was standing there, and I said, "What is the limo for?" And he said, "Are you Sherry Armstrong?" And I said, "Yes, I am." And he said, "If you're Sherry Armstrong, this limo's for you." And I said, "Wait a minute." I said, I don't understand. I didn't rent a limo. He says, "If you're Sherry Armstrong, it's paid in full, everything's taken care of." Okay. So we got in the limo.
Got in and you went. And that's how it happened. So you thought it was a gift from somebody. Now I'll hear your side, Miss Williams.
Well, I think it was late evening in August. Miss Armstrong called. When I answer the phone, I always give people rates of each vehicle that we have.
Well, she says that nobody gave her the rates.
First thing we do anytime we answer the phone.
Do you remember her call specifically?
I do.
Well, then I want you to tell me her call specifically, if you remember.
I do. My husband took her call.
Okay, then if this is your husband, so let me hear you.
Yes, ma'am, I did. She called, and she was a very nice lady, and she had some unusual requests. She told me that she was on a budget. We understand that. She initially booked a Navigator. We have a Navigator SUV Super Stretch. So I told her to help her out. I would do what we call a split run, which we don't normally do, but the Greer, the church that she was at, is a well-known church in our community. Our shop is also located in Greer. So usually...
Don't tell me usually.
Okay.
She says, and it sounds logical to me, that if you were going to hold this date of October 26th, that would have required a deposit. What she says has a ring of truth to it, that she was told that you'll hold the date for her till the end of the day, then you're going to need a deposit to hold the date permanently and to show up at the wedding.
No, ma'am. She told me she would like to book the vehicle. A deposit is customary, but it's not something we do all the time. Yes, ma'am. And the reason I waived the deposit in this case is she said she didn't have a credit card. She would pay cash the day of the service. She did book the car. She gave me the information where to pick her up at the church. She said she was going to the City Club, from the City Club wherever, which was after their, their reception. And the reason I gave her a flat rate is because we did do a split, and she wanted to be picked up back at 4 o'clock from 4 to 8. The reason I waived the deposit is because I did have all her information, and I had her work phone number, and I had the church. So I had no reason to believe that it was a call that would be somebody, playing a joke or anything.
I'd like to see the contract that you say she signed.
This is the contract. That was the total amount, and I'll explain that to Judge.
I just want to see her signature and tell me when you sent her the contract. Well, this was signed on the day of the wedding.
Yes, ma'am. We send the contract with the drivers unless they request it in advance, and then we faxed it to them. but since it was not requested, we always send it's considered a trip sheet. Each driver has that with them.
Tell me about this contract.
Okay. That contract was explained to me as a damage waiver. 5 hours into I'd already been to my reception. The limo picked me up at 4 o'clock, like he was supposed to. At 4 o'clock, we went to the church. We cleaned the church up. We left the church, and we were at a gas station 5 hours into the reception. The limo driver comes up to me. That was on a clipboard. He said, "Miss Armstrong, I apologize. I'm a new employee." He said, "This should have been signed prior to you getting in the limo at the church." He said, "All this is a damage waiver stating that if you have broken glass, any damages to the limo, you will be responsible for it." And I said, "That's all it is?" He goes, "Yes, yes, ma'am, it is." And then he made a joke, and he says, "Your first official signature is Mrs. Armstrong."
Well,
I signed it, he walked away, and that was it.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Deborah and Gregory Williams claim they've yet to be paid for a limousine rented for Sherry Armstrong's wedding. Sherry denies ordering the limo.
Okay, Mr. Williams. You have your driver here?
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to see your driver.
I'm Gene Thompson, Your Honor.
Did you make a mistake, Mr. Thompson, that day?
No, ma'am.
Mr. Williams, did you make a mistake, sir?
No, ma'am.
I'm not so sure. I mean, I've dealt with limousine services before, and it's not usually handled this way.
Well, it's a judgment call as far as waiving the deposit.
It's not a judgment call, Mr. Williams. It's business. If you told me that you knew this lady, that she came as a reference, that she came through a relative, that you knew her at all, and you decided that you were going to waive the deposit and hold the date anyway, maybe I could understand that. But someone who's calling you from the yellow pages that you don't know from a hole in the wall, you don't waive the deposit and hold that date and hold your Suburban. What if somebody else calls you and then she decides at the last minute that she's not going to use your service?
Ms. Williams can answer that. She did call back and she reconfirmed the date.
Oh, really?
Yes,
Tell
ma'am.
me about that.
About a week prior to the event, I got a call. I would assume it was Miss Armstrong. She did not say she was. She was calling to check to be sure that her limo was confirmed. And she spoke about the number of people that would be in there. I said the limit in the Navigator is 15 people. She asked if more people could get in there. I said, "No, ma'am, that's the capacity. We have a larger vehicle."
I never called back. I did ask them about the capacity, the first call I made about a month and a half prior to my wedding. I never called them, nor did I go down there or pay any type of deposit.
I didn't ask you about going down there, paying any kind of deposit. I asked you about a telephone call.
I called one time, and it's a month and a half prior to my wedding, and that's it.
How many other limousine companies did you call?
Probably, I would say at least 8.
Who was the cheapest?
They were, actually.
Then what changed your mind about having a limousine pick you up at the wedding?
My fiance and I talked about it, and we just decided for $800 it just wasn't worth it, so we decided not to do it. And
I'd like to see your video.
Okay. This is right after our pictures were taken in the church. We were coming out.
I'm watching you. Whose car is the black car? Is the dark car right over there?
The black car there, I'm not sure. That must be a guest.
And it was as you were coming out there that you saw the limousine?
Yes, ma'am.
I don't believe you. I don't believe you. I have to make a judgment. They say that you called and reserved this limousine. You say you did not. You thought it was a gift. That is not what happens when you think that that's a gift. If you think that's a gift, what you say is you stop. You come out of the church, you stop, you say, "My God, what is this?" You turn around to the person driving the car and you say, "My goodness gracious," put your hand down, "My goodness gracious me, where did this come from? I didn't order this. This must be some mistake." You and your husband got in the car, 1, 2, 3, snap, 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 took a picture. I didn't see anything that says, where did this come from? This must be some gift. $795 judgment for the plaintiff. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
They made the reservations. They knew it wasn't paid for.
I never signed a contract.
She said she'd take care of everything at the end of the evening. At the end of the evening, they were very intoxicated.
The limo driver told us repeatedly that it was paid for.
They were getting unruly.
I just feel like I'm not responsible.
I told them, go ahead and just let them out. I would handle it in the morning.
We assumed, which we shouldn't have, that the limo had been taken care of by a family member or someone else in the party.
Well, they had 3 hours before the reception, before the driver came back to find out who had rented the limousine.
We had no idea.